1, 2, 3, 1.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Stewart Pre-Game Show presented by UCLA Health. It begins with you. Tonight's matchup is going to take place here at Griffin Stadium, home of the Moore Park Raiders. Well, they will play host to the visiting Glendale College Vaqueros. Alongside me, Justin Borges and Robert Gonzalez, along with Ryan Catcham, who will be our sideline reporter for tonight's game. My name is Nick Federico, your play-by-play commentator, as we will be your coverage crew for the entire 2019 season. Well, both teams come into this game winless. Moore Park 0-2, along with Glendale also being 0-2. But Robert, starting off with the receiving core, who are some players on both sides of the ball that have really been one of the only light spots for both teams thus far in the year?
Yeah, I'm looking forward for the battle between these two. Dylan Lee, a wide receiver for Moore Park College, and also Jalen Lawrence for Glendale. The two of them have both had outstanding week ones, each of them putting up over 13 receptions, over 100 yards, and scoring 2 touchdowns. So to see the battle between them, to see who helps their team win, that's going to be fun to see today.
Yeah, and that is a great point. Dylan Lee has been one of the brighter spots here for Moore Park College. In fact, he leads the team in scoring and in all-purpose yards with 280 all-purpose yards on the year. Now, as we look over towards Glendale, Justin, who are a couple players that have really stood out with their team not being that exceptional this far?
So Michael Stanford is the lead in tackles for the year defensively as a linebacker. He is going to be a standout star on defense today. Look for him to shine. Also on defense for Moore Park, something they'll look to clean up, 32 penalties for 1,230 yards, something they're going to have to look to change. Offensively, for Glendale, they are 8 for 36 on third down. That's a 22% clip, something they're going to have to try to adjust, but they are 6 for 12 on fourth down, a 50% clip. So if they get into fourth and manageable today, they may go for it a lot.
That's a great point. And talking about Moore Park's offense, they have really pushed for a lot more than they did last year. Last year, they had averaged just over 11 points per game. This year, they have averaging 24.5 points per game, and with a lot of help from people like Dylan Lee and also Isaiah Johnson, the new quarterback. And as you just heard right there, that was the national anthem. That was the national anthem that was sang right there by our amazing choir here at Moore Park College. But with that being said, as I was talking about, Moore Park College's offense has really picked up the slack from where they were last year. Just 11 points last year, 24.5 points this year per game. And like we talked about, Dylan Lee, like you had talked about, Robert, and Isaiah Johnson, a quarterback for Moore Park College that has really stepped up. 3 touchdowns and 0 interceptions. But there's a little bit of competition, guys, between Isaiah Johnson and Trey Johnson. Now, Trey Johnson in his first week against Palomar was just 1 for 3 interceptions. But last week, he threw for 3 touchdowns against Cerritos to 3 different receivers. So who do you think is going to get the start tonight and why, Robert?
I think Isaiah Johnson's really been a leader throughout practice. Coach really likes what he has been doing, even though the game kind of slipped away from him last week. He still hasn't thrown an interception at all, so he's given the Raiders kind of an opportunity every time. He's not putting them in negative positions, doing the best that he can with the O-line that he has so far.
Right. Good point. Isaiah Johnson really has been the number 1 guy. Final thoughts on the game tonight, gentlemen. Justin, I'll start with you first. What do you look to see Moore Park dominate in order for them to get a victory tonight?
Moore Park's secondary really has to step up. They're a bit thin. They've given up a lot of points in the last couple of games. They're going to need to step up to give the offense a chance and to allow Johnson to get on the field more often today.
And Robert, for you, what can Glendale do to prevent Moore Park from coming away with a victory and getting their own victory here on the road?
I think for them, they got to work on their quarterbacks. They've been rotating often. Their offense hasn't been too efficient. So maybe find the guy who's going to be the leader for that squad because, when you're rotating quarterbacks, they say if you have 2 quarterbacks, it's like you have none.
That's a great point. And with that being said, that's going to go ahead and wrap up the Mike Stewart pregame show presented by UCLA Health. It begins with you. Stay tuned. We'll be right back in the booth in just a few short minutes. And welcome back. That was the Mike Stewart pregame show presented by UCLA Health. It begins with you. What coverage is just underway as we are just a few short minutes away from kickoff. As we talked a little bit in the pregame show, you guys had both given your opinions on what you expected to see from both Glendale and Moore Park, but let's just continue to go off that a little bit more now. With the game just underway, who defensively is Moore Park's rock to honestly come away with a victory tonight? We've seen Moore Park really come, back and forth battling in their own defense, with trying to come away with some success. But Justin, I'll start with you.
It's really going to have to come down to the entire defensive line, because if the secondary is the weaker position, they're going to have to rush the quarterback a lot more, trying to get him out of the pocket and disrupt his rhythm.
Yeah, and some bright spots, along with the defense that Moore Park has, is they do have some veteran returners like Ivory Jackson, for one, who was an actual bounce back from Texas Tech. He came back he had a great, phenomenal year last year, over 10 sacks on the year, and he's back once again this year. So it's great to see people like Ivory Jackson, Daniel Henderson also coming back for his sophomore year on the defense to have some veteran leadership. But offensively, we had touched a little bit on Dylan Lee, Robert. Who are some other components to the offense that we haven't really able to really dissect?
Our run game, we're trying to get it going. Mike Stewart, at the beginning of the year, was saying that was going to be one of our rocks, one of our strengths for Moore Park, and unfortunately, it just hasn't worked out that way. One thing I think they're battling is they have a young offensive line. 3 out of 5 starters are freshmen, and so they're going to have a lot of learning experiences as they go along this season.
And that is a great point. With such a young and almost inexperienced offensive line, it really does start with the offensive line. So if they aren't able to get it done, the quarterback can't get the passes off, the routes aren't going to be hit at the right time, the running back's not going to have any holes. So great point, Robert. Without a veteran offensive line, that is a struggle that Moore Park has. But we are just about to be underway as the Moore Park Raiders come out for their first home game of the 2019 season.
They got some athletes down there.
They definitely do, and you love to see the energy. The energy is something that Moore Park has to maintain tonight if they want to come away with a victory. Someone else that we see down on the sideline that I'd like to talk about, Eddie Mbada. Someone that really has been outstanding. With that being said, we do have our sideline reporter, Ryan Ketchum, down here on the field. Ryan, what are your thoughts tonight on tonight's game?
So thank you very much, everybody, for tuning into this Moore Park Relay live stream. But down here on the field, I'm expecting a lot of excitement. This is going to be the Raiders' first time out here at home. One of the big sights is that was their only victory last year. It was a 24-19 victory over Glendale Community College on the road. Expect a big passing attack out of the Raiders. Trey Johnson, Isaiah Johnson, 2 leading quarterbacks. Trey actually had 3 passing touchdowns last week, but it's going to be interesting to see what they're able to do against the big linebacker, number 44, Michael Stanford, who's the big-time defender for the Vaqueros. So it's going to be interesting to see, but back up to you guys in the booth.
Well, Bada is back to receive. He's one of the premier running backs for this Moore Park Raider team. Interested to see if they try to feature the running game a little bit more tonight.
And Glendale, as you had talked about, Ryan, does have a lot of strong components, even though the record might show otherwise, like number 3, Jalen Lawrence, the number 3 wide receiver for Glendale. But with that being said, Moore Park is all set to go for their first home game of the year, as they will receive first Glendale with the kick. It's going to be received down there at the 10-yard line by Eddie Mbada. He's going to cut up the middle. Season Hole, he's going to bounce it out left. Has some space down to the 40, down to the 50, all the way across to the other 40. What a run to start the game off, Eddie Mbada.
That is a great run to start field position strong for Moore Park. Give Johnson some room to work with for this offensive core.
For some lackluster offenses, that's a great way to get it started with the special teams. That's how you get kick started, already past half field already.
And Eddie Mbada has been getting progressively better every game that we've seen him. Against Palomar, he only had a few reps, but he does everything that you want in running back. He's not, when he doesn't get the ball, he still blocks 100%. You can use him as a tight end, potentially even a slot receiver. And right there, you saw him, he's versatile in the kick return game. So what a great, phenomenal run to start the game off. We did talk about the quarterback competition going on, but it does look to be that Isaiah Johnson, number 13, will get the start for his for the second game in a row. Trey Johnson did start game 1.
And I think so far he has earned that. He's done a really good job doing everything the coach has asked for, putting his team in a good position to move forward.
He has. I mean, on 3 touchdowns on the year, no interceptions. He definitely hasn't had anything go against him, you could say. He's not given any turnovers, and there's been a couple of fumbles, but not directly his fault. The snaps have been low, which reverts back to your original statement about the offense being so young, Robert. But yeah, Isaiah Johnson really has earned this spot. In fact, he's actually the number 2 leading rusher for Moore Park as well. Now he only has 32 yards on the year, but it shows that he's able to be so versatile. When the pocket's closing, he's not scared to take off and run, and we've seen him lower his shoulder trying to make some plays. So definitely a potential leader for Moore Park for the 2019 season.
And in terms of the passing game, passed for 287 yards overall on the season. So that's going to be featured heavily today with the arm of Johnson.
He's throwing 55% completion rate, so can't knock the kid. He's doing all that he can with what the playmakers are giving him. I think we're going to see a lot out of him and Dylan Lee today.
Dylan Lee, also, like you talked about, an exceptional athlete. In fact, I think it goes without saying, at least up until week 2 in the year, is Moore Park's #1 go-to receiver. In fact, these last 2 games, he has been phenomenal. He has 280 yards on the year, all-purpose yards, I should say, and leads the team in scoring with 2 touchdowns. So Dylan Lee, Isaiah Johnson, watch out for those 2 tonight as they get ready to take the field.
Yeah, it's funny, like how as we were talking about in the pregame, Dylan Lee exploded as well as Jalen Lawrence, but both of them exploded in the first week. I was kind of hoping to see a little bit of that again the second week. Both of them slowed down a little bit, but they're still catching balls, doing what they can for the teams. We'll see if the third week, if maybe it's just odd number weeks, but they pop off the page week 1.
Right, and there's a little bit of delay in game. They're looking, it seems that it talks about the clock to be adjusted to be correctly. The game clock is not currently up right now on the scoreboard for our viewers. They cannot see that. So that's what this delay in game is.
If the clock does not get put up on the scoreboard, usually that means the officials will keep time themselves on the field as well.
It's kind of a bummer in terms of momentum. There was a lot going Moore Park's way just to start off that opening kickoff. Getting all those yardage, everybody's excited, first home game for Moore Park, and then something like this happens, it really slows down everything you had going for you.
Well, and you see there, Vance Manikis, the athletic director, is talking with one of the officials, trying to get this sorted out. And in terms of the fans, it's also tough for them because in many ways, that is their means of clarification if they get confused on any call that might be. And they have fixed the clock at 14:50.
It does see, yeah, the clock is now up there. The clock is now up there with 14 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the first quarter here. Malachi Meeks will start out at the running back position, Dupree Fuller at the tight end position.
And Meeks does have the most rushes with 12 and 37 yards in the first couple.
So Moore Park will get the ball here on the 44-yard line. Dropping back, he's going to throw it deep right off the bat. Does he have him beat? No. Incomplete pass, intended receiver, number 84 for Moore Park College. Just seemed to miss his hands. That was Alex Sardi.
We're going to have to see if the sun's going to be a dilemma for them. That left-hand side, it's got no shade. The wide receiver tried to turn back and look for it, but I could tell that sun's going to be blinding.
And that's one of the, I guess, downsides to having these 6 o'clock games in the first couple weeks of the year is, as you had said, Robert, the sun is right directly in your face, so that's something that they're going to have to deal with. But it is going to be a 2nd down and 10. Isaiah in the shotgun formation. Johnson gets the snap. He's going to throw deep once again. Hasley wide open. Caught, but dropped out of the hands of Dylan Lee. We had talked about the combination between those two. That could have been and should have been a touchdown.
But there is some laundry out there on the field, so they might get some yardage out of this anyway.
Looks like a roughing the passer when it's near the quarterback. There was a defensive lineman rushing pretty quickly there on that last pass. Great accurate throw, and what an effort by Lee stretching out for that.
And it's going to be a personal foul, roughing the passer against number 44 on the Glendale defense. That is Michael Stanford, who Justin talked about during the pregame show, actually leads the league in tackles. 13 per game?
13 and a half.
13 and a half per
13 and a half
game.
per game coming into this one.
Don't rob them of that half.
Exactly.
Well, that one is definitely not going to count as a tackle, but we'll go against him in the penalty column. They're going to get a fresh set of downs. It is now 1st and 10 from the 28-yard line as they're looking to go in. He's going to fake the handoff throw once again to Dylan Lee, who catches it and is tackled after a gain of 9. Tackled by number 21 from the Glendale defense, Ethan Osorno.
You can already see Moore Park's going to look to use the aerial attack against these guys. Their run game hasn't been as strong. 3 passes in a row to open up their play calling. We'll see if he's going to switch it up for this one.
And in terms of Glendale, they're going to have to decide if they want to play deep in coverage or if they're going to want to play man.
It's going to be a penalty against Moore Park. It's going to bring them back 10 yards. So they still have gained 5 yards from that original 15-yard penalty. But they're going to start now with a 30 down, from the 38-yard line, and it'll be a 1st down and 20.
Justin kind of talked about it, man. These penalties are going to be killer for both sides of these teams.
So they got trips to the left short side stacked. Johnson shotgun's going to hand off to Meeks, who gets a hole, cuts back, and is able to fight for a nice gain of 7. Malachi Meeks, number 24 for the Moore Park Raiders, on the carry.
There's that productivity you were talking about, Justin.
Well, and they had 49 rushing attempts coming into the game. They're going to try and double that here today.
It's looking like Stewart's trying to keep them on that hurry-up offense, keep Glendale on their toes.
And that's something that Stewart had talked about. This is the first year where he's in charge of the offense. Moore Park in the last couple of years hasn't been such a quick-paced offense. This year they really have shifted towards that. Trip stacked on the left side. It's going to go to Lee once again, who has to break a defender. Somehow breaks a tackle, comes all the way across, but loses the ball. Fumble. They're going to blow the whistle down as Moore Park was somehow able to retain possession of that fumble.
And that pass was not as, although it was accurate, it led him to the outside, and he had to turn upfield before being able to control it. So he wants to be able to lead his receiver into the run if possible.
It's a shame with so much momentum coming off that kickoff to go backwards on these last 2 plays. Now you're looking at a 3rd and 21. They're just putting the pressure on themselves when they really had an opportunity to start strong.
And it shows how quick, this momentum can change. They went from a nice 50-yard return, a near touchdown, even getting a 15-yard right from the passer call, and now they're still backed up on a 3rd and 20. Johnson's going to get it, going to throw right across the middle, hits his receiver, Batarse on the reception, right across the middle. What a throw and catch for the Raider first down. Blake Batarse, who had his first reception of the year last week with a 72-yard bomb from Trey Johnson, now gets a huge first down for the Moore Park Raiders for his 2nd reception of the year. Blake Batarse, he redshirted last year. This is his freshman year, you could say, because he was a redshirt freshman last year, from Royal High School, having already a great game.
Stepping up from these last 2 games, it could be a good 1-2 punch through the aerial attack with Dylan Lee and Blake Batarse moving those chains for him.
You're going to hand it right back. Batarse's going to throw up his back foot. He's wide open. Touchdown, Raiders! Dylan Lee on the reception.
I absolutely love that play call by Mike Stewart. He's had a little trickeration so far. He's not afraid to call a gutsy game call today, because this is going to be our first home game that Moore Park is hoping to win.
What a start for Batarse. Goes ahead and picks up a huge 3rd down on the 3rd and 20, and then he is listed as a wide receiver, has now just thrown a touchdown on the year.
That would be his first touchdown pass of the season. I like the idea of getting everybody involved and using different skill sets to start this game, keeping Glendale guessing early.
The quarterback competition extends.
I like to hear that. That is a true point. You never know who can be quarterback. Isaiah Johnson, though, did have an amazing drive with a nice finish from Blake Batarse. With that being said, we're going to thank a few of our sponsors for tonight's game. Of course, we couldn't do any of this without you. We want to go ahead and start off with U.S. Army. Go on a business trip with a company like no other, U.S. Army. Big brand tire and service. Big on fast, big on friendly. Wells Fargo Bank. Wells Fargo is recommitting to helping all of our customers succeed financially. Wells Fargo, established in 1852, reestablished in 2018. With that being said, Moore Park is going ahead and kick off. What a great first drive, though.
Definitely. We're going to see if Glendale has the same answer through that aerial attack, and let's see if Jalen Lawrence, like I said, it could be a back-and-forth match today, but neither of these offenses not doing too much to start the year, so we'll see if this is the game that they really get it going.
And Higgs Mokshian, the sophomore veteran, is looking to kick this ball away. Higgs Mokshian, as of last week, had quite a nice average punting. He was averaging actually 42.5 yards per punt a game. Higgs Mokshian, one of the unsung heroes here on special teams.
He's actually accounted for 13 points for the Moore Park Raiders. He's doing a really good job. 3 extra points. He's made every single one of them. So or 3 for 5, I apologize, but 13 points for this team.
It's going to be a pooch kick. It's going to fall down to about the 30-yard line where it is received, and he's going to go down with it right away. And that was number 83 for Glendale, coming away with that reception. With that recovery. 83 for Glendale. It's Tyler Brooks Brown, the wide receiver out of Marshall, Pasadena.
I believe Julio Diaz was there for Moore Park. He was pressuring. He was close to getting that ball. That little pooch kick definitely put some pressure on Glendale to receive that cleanly.
So we're going to get our first look at the Moore Park defense, which definitely has been the kryptonite thus far in the year. Seeing how they come out against Glendale, who doesn't even have a true number one quarterback. And as you talked about, Robert, if you have a dual quarterback system, you have no quarterback. But to start the game is going to be number 12, Nathan Eldridge. Nathan Eldridge in shotgun, running back behind him. He's going to get the handoff. And number 25 is just going to get back to the line for Glendale. That was Elijah Washington, who's actually their leading rusher for Glendale. A stat that really pointed out to me was that Glendale has yet to have a 100-yard rusher on the year, but Elijah Washington is their number one leading rusher.
So far, he has 63 yards for the Glendale and also a touchdown. So he's one of their 4 touchdowns that they have scored this season.
Pro set style formation. Gonna fake the handoff, throw right to his right. Somehow just overthrown. He's gonna take a lick as there is a flag on the play. Intended receiver number 2 on that. That was Nehemiah Bray.
And that hit was up near the helmet, so that could be yet another roughing the passer call.
That's one thing I wish I could see. Oh.
So that was gonna be. So that is going to be a roughing the passer call. It's going to be a 15-yard penalty going against Moore Park.
I just paused so the referee could get his announcement in. But what I was going to say is that is one thing I wish I could see cleaned up a little bit better in the community college level so far. Penalties have been excessive on both ends of the field, especially on late hits. That's something the game, I hope, can get a little bit better.
So Glendale's going to get a new set of downs here at the 45-yard line. Eldridge in the backfield is going to fake the handoff, throw on his right side. Intended for number 3, Jalen Lawrence. Now, Jalen Lawrence is someone that we had talked about a little bit in the pregame, Robert. What do we know about him?
Jalen Lawrence, he's scored 3 out of the 4 touchdowns Glendale has scored. So like I said, neither offense has been super productive. But for him to put 3 touchdowns up for his team, he is definitely trying to put this squad on his back.
And that is a great way to say it, trying to carry the team, if you would say.
And defensively, Peyton Shelton also almost came up with that interception. He tried to leap for that. So
he's definitely a playmaker for Moore Park Raiders.
Yeah, and Peyton Shelton, the only returning starter in the secondary, so look for him to have a great night tonight. It's going to be 2nd down and 10 as they hand off to Washington, who's going to get a hole and be stuffed after just a gain of 2. Coming around with that tackle is number 44, Daniel Henderson on the play.
And we talked about the linebacking core coming up big to help out this secondary. Carlos Coates also looks to be one of the leaders in that group. He has 12 total tackles and 3.5 tackles for loss early in this season.
He will definitely help stuff that run game that we hope to establish here today.
Something that should be noted, number 14 just came off the field for defense. That's Rashawn Williams, who actually plays wide receiver for Moore Park. Been getting a lot of reps last week against Cerritos. It's surprising to see him on defense. But it's going to be a 3rd and 8, and he's going to hit his intended receiver, but it's going to bounce off of his arm. Once again, number 3, Jalen Lawrence. A little bit of frustration you can see on Lawrence's face. That's going to be a nice 3 and out as the Moore Park, pardon me, not a 3 and out, but it's going to bring up 4th down. They were able to pick up 1 first down with the roughing the passer call, but that is going to bring up a 4th down and 8.
I think that's something Mike Stewart really wanted to emphasize this game in particular. Moore Park has struggled when the big plays come that they need to get off the field, they haven't been able to. So that was a good job stopping them on this drive.
They're going to punt it away here, nearly blocked, as that punt's going to fall all the way down to the 20-yard line where it is fair caught by number 20, Mike Lopez. We had talked to the Moore Park Raiders DB coach, Coach Menere, and he had actually talked about Mike Lopez, saying he's got to be one of our best guys that we have in this lineup. He talks about Lopez's work ethic and how he's really set the tone. In fact, he leads the team in interceptions with 2. So Moore Park's going to get another go out of here as they're going to start with the ball on the 20-yard line. Once again, Bat is going to come out. Fuller's going to come out. Lee will also come out to the game. Followed by number 84, number 80, Jalil Smith, Reese Smith, number 80. In the shotgun, once again, is Isaiah Johnson. Fuller's going to motion over, down to the tight end position. Hand it off to Bata. Bata's going to get to the outside and lower his shoulder. Bata is one guy that we have really been able to talk about lately, guys. His ability to take hits, and he almost loves to give hits. You could put him at defense.
And I was interested to see how that was going to work, because in the last couple of weeks, in the games that we've watched, there was a rotation within the running back core, and I wasn't sure if there was going to be a single identity coming out of that group, and it looks like Bada has become that very early in this game for the Raiders.
As we saw in the return game, when he gets to that corner, man, he really just puts his head down and he's ready to knock the next person in front of him.
And when a 6'3", 220 guy running back is coming at you, you don't really want to get in front of it either. He's going to hand it off to Bada once again, who stiff arms, but he's still going to be tackled. Coming in on a nice tackle for loss. Number 92 for Glendale, coming around with that tackle, Giovanni Quintero. Coming into the game, Blake Patarse, first time for this drive. Of course, Patarse came away with that nice, crucial third down reception, and then the touchdown pass. And I apologize, number 92 on that tackle early on was not Quincy Williams, but it rather was Micah Willingham. So it's going to be a 3rd down and 6 here. Johnson going to break the tackle, roll out to the left, throw off his back foot, and hit him for the 1st down. Number 80, Reed Smith on the reception. That's going to move the chains.
Constantly moving these chains is how that momentum's going to build. I think that's one thing that Moorpark's kind of struggled with a little bit is they can gain some momentum. They do have some playmakers on this team, but sustaining momentum, that's one thing that they're going to have to work on, and so far against this opponent, they're able to do so.
So it's going to be a 1st down and 10 from the 35-yard line. 8 minutes and 32 seconds remaining in the 1st quarter. There's going to be a flag on the play.
Most likely a false start here.
And it's going to be a snap infraction against number 73 of Moorpark College, Shane Tafari.
And they've been having problems at that center position. We saw a couple of muff snaps in the Week 1 game against Palomar. Something they're trying to iron out with Daftari early in this season is the communication between him and Johnson at quarterback.
A nice duo here on the long side of the field with Patarse and Lee. Both of them having exceptional games thus far. Another flag, looks to be maybe another snap infraction. Last week, in fact, we saw Moorpark make the same exact mistake that cost a penalty 3 times in a row against Cerritos. So that is something they have to clean up.
That center quarterback exchange is so crucial.
So this is going to bring up now a 2nd down and 20. This time was a false start. Of course, for our viewers that are at home listening, the difference between a snap infraction and a false start is someone that doesn't have the ball, moves suddenly without it being basically allowed. A snap infraction is when the center just ever so slightly moves the football. So 2 different penalties, but basically the same mistake.
You learn something new every day.
There you go. There you go. So for the first time tonight, Isaiah Johnson's going to be alone in the backfield as he's got 5 wide, 3 out to the right side. He's going to hit Lee once again on that comeback screen. Breaks a tackle. And then he's going to be swarmed by a gang of Glendale football players.
And what's crucial for those screens is the ability to block downfield, something that Moorpark missed on that last play. And screens usually happen when you're behind the chains because you're trying to get a large chunk of that yardage back quickly.
One thing that I hope that they're trying to set up, at least Mike Stewart, play-wise, is he's gone to that play pretty often in the well already. I'm hoping it's setting up for a long, deep pass, get that fake to the short route for Dylan, and then hit him as those corners come up.
All right, so 2nd down and 18 here. Johnson's going to hand it off to Bada, who's almost sacked behind the line, but hits a spin move, breaks another tackle, and somehow turns a tackle for loss into a gain of 5. Bada making it known that he is definitely in the running, if not already. Should be the starting running back for the Moorpark College Raiders.
Well, in this 3rd and long, we'll test Johnson's arm again and his ability to make reads early. We'll see what he can do on this 3rd down.
Lee's ISO to himself on the long side of the field. Look for maybe a post corner with him or a streak route. Looks to be this of another false start against Moorpark College. Penalties, penalties, penalties. Moorpark has to adjust this.
I don't know. I don't know if it's an issue with the snap or what's happening. Communication has to be a little bit better. I wanted to ask you guys for the NFL game, did you guys happen to see the Falcons game? The center didn't snap the ball and everyone on the line moved except for him.
That was the Patriots-Pittsburgh game you're
there it
talking
is,
about.
yeah.
I'm a Patriots fan,
That
so I
was
know
funny.
exactly. That was some good stuff. But yeah, that is Shane DeFari on his second snap infraction. He's actually a sophomore, so it's a little strange to see him making the same play. But that's going to be snapped right over his head, as we were just talking about. Isaiah Johnson has to just pick it up, and somebody's going to throw it away. He's still able to hit his receiver, but dropped.
That's number three for the Raiders,
Jaleel Lipton.
Jaleel Lipkin.
That is great creativity on Isaiah's part. He had to run, scramble around, and was still able to find an open, set himself up, and get that pass across. I mean, I know it didn't be a completion, but man, he saved a huge loss on that one.
And yeah, he's got some great heads-up awareness. That should have been almost a safety, at the very least, a loss of like 20. And somehow he was able to pick it up. He still hit his receiver. There's another flag on the play. He still hit his receiver, Jaleel Lipkin, in the chest. Lipkin just wasn't able to hold on to it. But that should have been, it came out the way it was, but it should have been a loss of 20. And somehow Johnson almost made it turn into a gain of 10.
Might have come from shock of Isaiah escaping that rush.
So that's going to be a neutral zone infraction against number 92 for Glendale. That's the second time we've called his name tonight on pardon me, that's the second time we've called the number 92, but this time for Glendale. And that's going to be Michael Willingham. Higgs Marchand is going to get the punt booted deep downfield, as he always does. It's going to be fair caught at the 30-yard line. Coming up with the fair catch by number 25 on Glendale, Elijah Washington, the leading rusher for Glendale.
And with about 5:36 left in this quarter, we'll see if Glendale chooses to milk the clock and put together a very long drive here, or score quickly and try to get the ball back. In terms of those snap infractions we were talking about, I'm wondering if the team wants to institute like a sort of a clap system. 3 claps and you go.
A silent count is what you're alluding to.
Yeah, silent count.
And that's something they're going to have to, they want to rotate. You don't want to give the other team an opportunity to jump on that.
Eldridge is going to throw, and it's intercepted by Moorpark. Intended receiver, Jalen Lawrence. But number 29 basically ran the route for Moorpark College, Jacob Zamora. Moorpark really coming together for this game. It looks like they are firing on all cylinders thus far.
There's something about home cooking that just kind of gets the guys ready and puts you in a different mindset, and I think we're seeing that with Moorpark early in this game.
But to answer that question you had earlier, Glendale was looking to pass deep. I do not think they were trying to milk that clock. They're trying to be aggressive with the 7-0 game. They want to keep it as close as they can, keep the score well within the reach.
And milking the clock this early in the game wouldn't really make sense either. There's still 5 minutes and 30 seconds left in the first quarter. Brandon Archibald is out there, number 25 for the Moorpark Raiders at the running back position for the first time tonight. Trips on the right side, ISO receiver on the left. Johnson gets the snap, feels the pressure, has to just throw it away. And somehow Batarse still able to come up with the reception and a first down. Blake Batarse on the first down reception.
Great adjustment, able to reach back behind and sort of torque his body in a way to be able to catch that ball and go down immediately.
And this kid has really been putting in the work. I mean, he got 0 snaps the first game, was able to come away with a touchdown the second, and now having a game tonight. It's number 84 who gets a couple blocks, tries to cut back outside. He's able to pick up the first down and more. What a great block from his wide receiving crew. Number 84, Alex Sardi.
Mike Stewart is loving the screen game right now, and it is working so far. Hopefully he keeps varying it up and they keep moving the chains. Otherwise, I'll be nervous for someone to jump one of those screens one of these days.
They have been going to the screen quite a lot. It's going to be a first down from the 38-yard line. Trips on the shallow side. Johnson's going to go ahead and hand it off to Sardi, who's going to cut up on the sweep and tackled for it, but not before getting a gain of 5. Flag thrown, a little bit of pushing after the play.
29 for Glendale is a little slow to get up.
In fact, he's not getting up at all. He's sitting right down. Looks to be in an excruciating amount of pain, as that is going to be number 29, as you had talked about, Adam Martinez, the 5'11 DB. But while we have a break in action, we hate to see when players go down, but we do want to thank a couple more of our sponsors. Of course, we couldn't do it again without any of you, so thank you for making this possible. We want to go ahead and start with our game sponsor tonight, actually. UCLA Health is a proud sponsor of Moore Park College. With neighborhood offices in Simi Valley, Porter Ranch, Thousand Oaks, Ventura, and Westlake Village, the very best care is now closer to you. UCLA Health begins with you. There is going to be a personal foul against Dylan Lee, number 5, which is going to bring Moore Park back 15 yards. But with that being said, we are going to go ahead and continue the sponsors. Thank you very much for everything you do. Pegasus Transit. We are the answer to your transportation needs. In-N-Out Burger. Freshness you can taste. Simi Valley Auto Center. Proud to support Moore Park College athletics. DCH Lexus of Oxnard. Proudly supporting education and Moore Park College football. Lexus. Experience amazing. PennyMac. Let us tackle your mortgage needs. PennyMac. The lender you can call home. And it is great to see number 29 for number 29 for Glendale College, Vaqueros, getting up on his own 2 feet. Adam Martinez was able to walk off on his own 2 feet. So that's a great sign. He might have had the muscle cramp or potentially, we don't want to speculate, but it's good to see that he got up on his own 2 feet.
It does thin out the secondary, at least for a little while for Glendale. See who they'll sub in and rotate. That's one less body they're going to have on the field.
And injuries are the most unexpected thing, of course, that comes with the game. You can't anticipate it. You don't know when it's going to happen. But when it is, it always is detrimental to the team.
.419 and counting in this quarter here.
It's going to be a first down and long. And a couple more flags are thrown. And that's going to be a false start against number 64 for the Moore Park Raiders on that offensive line right there. Coming away with the false start penalty. Jacob on Adrian.
Definitely saw some frustration. I could see it from Dylan Lee, at least, closest to this sideline. These penalties are one way to really disrupt your offense.
We may be well over 40 now. We talked about how they started around 32 to begin this game.
So look for a pass in a situation right here as a third and very, very long. They're going to hit a screen to Dylan Lee, who looked to be going with almost a catch and go kind of pass, but his knee did hit the ground, so he's going to be marked down right there.
I think they're calling it incomplete. I think the ball had hit the ground before Lee had caught it.
One thing I was going to say, I know they are super far into a hole on this drive, but it is first down. They do have a couple opportunities to pick up some chunk yardage. We'll see if they're going to end up hitting the draw game or screen game, just getting whatever yardage they can to make it a little bit closer for them.
And without a doubt, the biggest kryptonite for the Moore Park Raiders over the last couple of years has to be the penalties. I mean, they're up 7-0. They have a couple things. They're really on the field, just so everyone is clear. It is a forward pass that was marked incomplete. But the penalties have really been just so detrimental to Moore Park. They're up 7-0. If you watch their highlight plays thus far, which there's been quite a few, you would think they're up 21-0, 28-0, but only 7 because these penalties are something that they can, without a doubt, fix, and they don't. So it's going to be a second down and very, very long. Alex Sardi's going to motion back in towards the middle, fakes the handoff as Johnson, who hits Fuller, lowers his shoulder, and picks up a gain of 10. There's 3 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the first quarter as there is a flag on the play. If it stays, it's going to be a gain of 10.
Ooh, and that's some inspiration from the sideline. Coach screaming in, they cannot block you.
And sometimes you need that pump-up ability to get your guys' heads in the game and stay aggressive on defense. One thing Moore Park will have to adjust.
This has to be, I just have to have this noted, the 4th or 5th penalty of this series. I have never seen something like this, at least this early on in a game, where there's this many back-to-back penalties. Just so everyone's clear, Dylan Lee was called for a blindside block, which is being another 15-yard penalty.
Like Tom Brady, I cannot watch these penalty flags one after the other. This is a struggle.
Well, and I think what Moore Park is going to have to adjust is that these referees are calling this game very tight, and they're going to call almost every penalty they see thus far. They're not going to let these guys play as much as Moore Park might want. So
So right now it's about a second and 43. So everyone's aware. Tarsay motions over, then comes back. Johnson rolling out to the shallow side, looking to find an open receiver, and he's not going to be able to hit anyone as he throws towards the sideline. Intended receiver on the play for Moore Park Raiders was number 11 on the play, Kenyon to Skinner.
That was a tight rope right there on the sidelines. There wasn't much room. He did have him open for a second, but that would be a tough pass to hit as he was rolling out. They did the best that they could.
At this point, we're looking at a field position portion of this drive with the amount of yardage they would need to get a first down. They may looking to be getting a few more yards and then punting it away and giving their defense a shot once again.
So it's going to be a 3rd and 43, a very, very, very far attempt to pick up this first down. But Johnson's still going to throw it off his back foot. Archibald wide open. Isn't able to catch it over his shoulder, though, as that's going to bring up a 4th down.
Looks like Archibald didn't see it. He was looking over his shoulder. He wasn't sure what direction to turn.
He lost it in the air. He definitely would try to turn inside, and then it came over to his backside, and he turned over. No sun this time to blame, but that is a hard ball to kind of find in the air.
One thing is a good problem to have is you can never count out the Raiders on a 3rd or 4th and long because of Johnson's arm. I mean, he's made it clear in the first couple weeks of the season that he's without a doubt a gunslinger and that he can get the ball out there. A lot of quarterbacks can't hit receivers in stride over 30 yards. He easily could have hit Brandon Archibald if he was able to look over his shoulder. But Higgs Mokshan's going to go ahead and punt it down as that's going to go ahead and bounce out of bounds at about the 32-yard line where Glendale will start their next drive.
The other thing I was going to add to your gunslinger mentality of Isaiah Johnson, surprisingly, a lot of gunslingers, they throw more interceptions than you expect, but he still has 0 on the season like we had reiterated earlier this season.
That is a great point. And we do want to thank a couple more of our sponsors while we have a quick break in action, starting with International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Southern California life-powered for 125 years. IBEW Local Number 47 is a proud sponsor of Moore Park College Raiders. Glendale will come back on the field. So far, it has been all Nathan Eldridge, but Jorge Maya has also taken just one less attempt on the year. Maya has 37 pass attempts. Eldridge has 38, but it does look like Glendale will continue to go with Eldridge despite the fact of them staying scoreless. He's going to go ahead and hand it off up the middle before he's tackled for just a gain of 2 as number 14 for Glendale was on the carry. Trey Fugait. So it's going to be a 2nd down and 7 here for the Glendale Vaqueros.
Trey's a running back that they've been feeding the ball to pretty often. Hasn't been too productive. I'm surprised they keep coming back to him. I hope he keeps doing better, but productivity-wise, he's very low on the chart for them.
And that's going to be incomplete.
If you're Glendale, to me, I would keep testing that secondary and throwing the ball deep. Moore Park is very thin on the back end, and I would continue to test that theory instead of trying to run the ball into their linebacking core or these short passes here.
So it's going to be a 3rd down and 7, as we alluded to.
Moore Park DBs excited to make a play on this one.
Fugate's in the backfield once again in the pro set alongside Eldridge. Fugate's going to motion out to the left side. Eldridge is going to throw off his back foot. Does he have Lawrence open? No! Pass deflected by number 29, who came up with that interception on the last drive, Zamora. That's going to bring up a 3 and out.
He is eager and pumped to get a second one in. He's not intimidated by this wide receiver core at all.
And even though he's undersized, he's been able to use his hands quite effectively and intelligently to bat away some passes early today.
He definitely has been making plays on the ball, and that's what you want to see from your DBs. More than just breaking it up, you're going after that ball.
Moore Park back to return. As that's going to bounce down. That's Mike Lopez, number 20. And that's going to be recovered by Glendale. So the ball is going to be killed as Glendale just comes up on it.
At the Raiders' 44-yard line, that's where they'll take over. 1st and 10.
1st and 10 at the 44-yard line. Moore Park still up just 7-0, though it feels like they're up 21-0.
Although they still have plenty of time to continue to score here, They also have good field position to start at the 44-yard line, so some room to work with if you're Johnson in this offense.
Sardi's going to motion across the field. Another penalty. It looks to be a false start.
Yeah, Dylan Lee on the sideline here is very
Ryan, you're down
frustrated.
there on the field as it is. We just wanted to ask you, so far, what have you been able to see out of, where's all this confusion coming from? There's been quite a few penalties. What's really been the underlying factor for Moore Park's, I guess, lack of mental toughness early on in the game?
So they have been talking about it a lot, about the mental toughness. They're actually, in the defensive meeting that they had, they were trying to say that they want to be able to limit as many penalties as possible. So they're trying to do that, but out here on the offensive end is where they're getting a lot of them. It's just a little bit of lack of awareness, and they're going for a little bit more of a hard count, so they need to be able to get the snap count down to be able to move forward.
And that run's going to be right up the middle as he bulldozes through Malachi Meeks. But yes, Justin, pardon me. Yes, Ryan, that is a great point. I mean, lack of awareness has to be. Hard counts is something else that you have to take into account of. But yeah, just a lot of penalties early on for Moore Park in the first quarter. But that was a great run by Meeks. It's going to be a 2nd down and 5. Once again, they go back to Meeks, but he's tackled. Breaks a tackle, I should say. Breaks another, spin moves, but is still tackled for a loss of 5.
And Meeks, coming into this game, was the #1 option in rushing. Again, with 12 rush, 37 yards, 18.5 yards a game, and averaging 3.1 a carry. So obviously, Bada has had more touches early in this game, so that may change going into the future. But coming into this game, Meeks was #1.
That is one thing Mike said he wasn't afraid to do with his running backs. He feels that he can trust three starters, basically, 3 people that he knows when he gets the ball, he doesn't mind rotating them. So it's just going to be his gut feel for those.
So it's going to be a 3rd down and 11. Johnson gets the snap. Looking, he has all the time in the world. Bada looks to be open, but Johnson's going to take it himself as he's going to go ahead and pick up just enough for the 1st down. What a heads-up play by Johnson to realize that he could take it himself and do the smart thing by just getting out of bounds. A lot of quarterbacks will try and get that extra yard, lower shoulder, maybe like Bada, but at the quarterback position, you want to save your body at all costs. That's a great heads-up play by Johnson.
And I love that communication between the running back and the quarterback. Bada, he's waving him on and he's saying, I got you. I will block for you. Don't worry. You won't have to take the hit. I will get you out of bounds. Don't worry.
It's going to be a 1st down here on the 45-yard line. Smith, Sardi, and Batarse all here to the far side of the field. Johnson motions Sardi over. Going to go ahead and hand it off to Bada, who has a whole bunch of room on the left side. He's going to go ahead and take a hit as he picks up the 1st down.
There's that hit you were talking about.
He loves to lay the shoulder pads, doesn't he? Eddie and Bada. He's such a specimen. I mean, at 6'3", 220 pounds, and he's from the Netherlands. I think it should really be pointed out. This guy, I talked to him off the field. He only played 1 year of football, his senior year in the Netherlands, before coming over here and playing for Moore Park College.
And I love the idea of not going out of bounds, being able to take the physical hit. They're going to run the clock down to the end of the quarter here.
And that's going to finish up the first quarter as Moore Park is up 7-0.
Back-to-back runs by 2 of their bigger men, Isaiah Johnson and Bada. Those are 2 tackles that are going to be tough to bring down.
So for the first quarter thoughts, I'll go ahead and shoot it to our color commentators here. I'm going to go ahead and start with Justin first here. What did you think Moore Park can improve on? I mean, they've had a lot of success, but the score shows almost otherwise. What's something that they can improve on to get better in the second quarter?
Clearly the penalties. I mean, it's been the entire story. When you look at the one drive where they scored the touchdown, very few penalties, if at all, came on that drive. So penalties are going to need to be cleaned up for them to even have a shot at continuing their success this game.
And with that is a great point. And Ryan, we're going to start with you next here. A couple things that Moore Park can go ahead and fix this early on in the game.
So Moore Park definitely has to fix the penalties, but one of the things that they've been doing very successfully has been on the defensive end. The defense has been able to stop Glendale time and time again, so continue to do that, but make sure you do not bite yourself in the backside with having all those penalties. That's been the big thing, making sure that you limit the penalties and getting as much yards as you can and stop basically biting yourself in the backside, because each time you're having Glendale, they're not actually playing the greatest defense, but Moore Park keeps getting backed up because of their own mistakes. So make sure to limit those and you'll be fine.
And that is a great point, Ryan. Thank you. And finally, with you, Robert, first quarter analysis. What can Moore Park improve on?
I'm loving Isaiah Johnson just slinging the ball around. He's like you said, he's not afraid to take his chances, and Moorpark has hit it deep sometimes.
All right, and that's going to go ahead and start off the second quarter here. Johnson, once again, single back set. Going to hand it off to Bada. Just kidding, he's going to take it himself right up the middle for a first down.
Well, and if you're Glendale, some things you're going to want to look to exploit. Again, throwing the ball deep into the secondary, I think, is the bread and butter for success today because Moorpark is so thin back there on defense. So look for them to adjust that. On that run, great read by Johnson. That's all on him. He has to be the one to be able to see that and bust it up the middle, as they say. So interesting to see if they can get the running backs involved as well.
Bada is going to come out the running back position as Meeks is going to go ahead and get back in there. So it's going to be a 2nd and 1 here. Looking to his left side, feels the pressure, is going to roll out to the right. Has nobody in front of him. Daylight, as Johnson's going to keep on taking it, and he'll take it himself for the Moorpark Raider. Touchdown! Isaiah Johnson on a 27-yard rushing run.
And you can see Isaiah Johnson's getting comfortable with his legs. He's getting a little warmed up the first 3-4 plays, and now he's ready to run.
And after that run, that's going to go ahead and put him at the leader in the rushing column for Moorpark College. He came in at number 2 with just 32 rushing yards on the year. But after that 27-yard run, he's without a doubt the number 1 leading rusher currently for Moorpark College.
And that was not designed. A nice scramble, good heads-up awareness from Johnson to scamper to that pylon.
And as a defense, that only makes it tougher. You never know how he's going to attack you through the air with his legs. It is hard to scheme against.
And Hagues Mokshian is going to go ahead and kick the PAT. Now, PATs have also been something that Moorpark's really lacked consistency with. Hagues Mokshian is going to go ahead and kick his up. Good. Moorpark's going to go up 14-0 on the day.
You talked about PATs. They were only 3 for 5 coming into this game. That's 53rd in the country. So that's something they're going to look to continue to work on with Mokshian as their kicker.
There looks to be a flag on the play, holding against Moorpark College.
Holding, offense number 44. Penalty decline. Kick is no good.
So they're going to decline the penalty
14
straight.
in the second quarter.
The penalty is declined, but they're going to say the kick was no good. So it's going to be 13-0. While we have a break in action, we do want to thank a couple more of our sponsors. Of course, we couldn't do it without any of your guys' support. So we thank you very much for everything that you guys are able to do for us. With that being said, we're going to go ahead and start with DCH Auto Group, delivering customer happiness. Corner Bakery Cafe, Simi Valley Town Center, proud to support Moorpark College athletics, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and catering. Matera Design Consultant. For all your design, layout, and production needs, contact Vince Matera at vmatera@earthlink.net. Matera Design Consultant. With that being said, Moorpark will go ahead and kick off to Glendale for the 3rd time tonight. Early on impressions so far, Justin.
So
Moorpark's really been, starting to get it together, and how so?
again, if they cut down on the penalties, they have enough guys at skilled positions to outrun this Glendale secondary. Look for them to continue passing deep. If you're Glendale, you're going to want to try to rush the quarterback on defense, pack as many guys in the box as you can, and try to affect Johnson's throwing ability. On offense, they're going to want to look to throw it deep and try and affect Moorpark's secondary as well.
And in terms of play call, Mike Stewart's just trusting his guy, his quarterback, Isaiah Johnson. He's letting him make the decisions out there, regardless of pressure coming at him, and so far he's made the right ones.
Interesting to see Troy Smith, the number 3 quarterback, is actually out there on the kickoff unit, as he's the gunner at number 10 down there on the far side. It is going to be received by Jalen Lawrence, their star player for Glendale, as he's tackled after just a gain of 10. So Moorpark's defense will take the field once again, as Glendale's offense will come out as well.
Returns the ball out to the 30-yard line. It'll be 1st and 10 Glendale.
Something I wanted to talk about after that touchdown, gentlemen. We had talked to Coach Menere, the DB coach for the Moorpark Raiders, and we had asked him about Isaiah Johnson and what he thought. And what he made a great point to talk about was, he said this kid has won before. He knows how to win. He's from Crenshaw, and he's actually won a state championship with them. So he said from his sophomore to his senior year, he had a lot of success winning, at the very least, conference championships for Crenshaw. But he's going to be a 1st down and 10, as Glendale's going to start here on the 30-yard line. Eldridge is going to fake the handoff and keep it himself on the option read, and tackle for just a gain of 4 yards.
Yeah, stats are one thing, but when you know how to win, that is crucial for coaches. They love to see that.
Hitting number 96, Jordan Hansen. Pick up a 3 on the play, 2nd and 7.
So it's going to be a 2nd down and 6.
And so far, the defense has done a good job shutting down this air attack. Jalen Lawrence has not been a factor.
And it doesn't look like Glendale has a rhythm on offense. I'm not sure they themselves know quite what they want to do yet.
So Eldridge is going to fake the handoff, roll out to his right, throw back to his left. As he's wide open is Washington, who breaks a tackle, but then gang tackled for just a gain of 1. Great heads-up play by the Moore Park defense, seeing that play develop the whole way through.
Pass complete for no gain. Tackled by number 35, Carlos Codes.
And this is going to be another pivotal down, that 3rd down. Let's see if the Moore Park Raiders can get them off the field.
And that's Carlos Coates again. They were able to stay patient and continue on their assignments there. When you get off assignment, that's usually what happens when they try to exploit those holes.
So 3rd down and 7. Eldridge is going to go ahead and just pass it off on the option read. But he's able to pick up a 1st down. This is one of the first times tonight we've seen Glendale pick up a 1st down without the help of a flag or a penalty.
That was a good job by Washington. He was able to kind of shimmy his way through that front line, avoid pressure coming at him.
And Glendale has to realize that they're not out of the game yet. It's only 13-0. They got plenty of time to get back in this one.
A couple new faces coming on the field, like Antoine Wynn, the defensive back number 8, who leads the team in sacks. As we say that, there is a couple flags thrown at the same time. We'll see what the call is. That's a rare one you see here in the college level, but it does happen. 12 men on the field is what it's called. It's going to be a 5-yard penalty for having too many players on the field at the same time.
These referees getting their arm exercises in, throwing in one flag after the other.
They're working those triceps a little bit. There's going to be a 1st down and 15 here. Eldridge was just a single back set. Washington right behind him.
Moore Park almost jumped the gun there, but they were able to get back before the ball was snapped.
Jalen Lawrence here on the shallow side, locked up by Mike Lopez. Look up for that matchup. Going to fake the handoff, throw across the middle, but it is batted away. Ivory Jackson coming across with that batted swat.
That's a name we have not said much this season. Ivory was one of the standouts, originally from Texas Tech, transferred down to Moore Park here, and he made his presence felt on that play.
Yes, Ivory Jackson really has that potential and that D1 ability. I mean, he played for a D1 SEC school. You know, that should be noted alone. But yeah, he has been rather quiet the first couple games of this year. He has to pick that up if he wants to get some of these offers. He's going to fake the handoff. Eldridge is going to take it himself, and he's going to be tackled by number 45, Carlos Coates. Now, Carlos Coates is someone that you had talked about in the pregame show, Justin. What can you tell us about him? I mean, other than the fact that he's doing phenomenal, in what ways has he really done?
So basically, he has become sort of the leader in the linebacking core. We talked about his tackle ability, and to me, he's become sort of the captain of that defense, able to be the signal caller and have the reins, so to speak, in terms of assignments and where to put everybody on the field. So clearly the vocal voice of this Moore Park Raider linebacking core and really this entire defense.
Yes, Carlos Coates and Daniel Henderson, the 2 linebackers up there for Moore Park's defense. Eldridge is going to throw across the middle, but just overthrown. Intended receiver for Glendale, number 6, Chris Lee.
Eldridge, who's been coming in for this this drive, hasn't been too successful. We know the Glendale coaches haven't been afraid to rotate quarterbacks before. We'll see if that's something that they're going to evoke coming into this second quarter.
So penalties have now been the kryptonite for Glendale as they were able to pick up one of their first downs of the game, coming alone on their own play without the help of a penalty. But then the penalty brought them back, and they weren't able to recover from that. So basically all for nothing on that drive, gentlemen.
The Raiders don't get to do this often, but here's an opportunity for them to put the nail in the coffin, going up by 3 touchdowns.
Blocked. It looked to be blocked and in and out of the hands of Daniel Henderson. If he would have caught that on clean, he would have been able to run that back himself.
But another possession starting past the halfway point. Raiders have gotten these opportunities often before. Hopefully penalties don't bring them back, but we'll see how they start.
Either way, good field position here for the Raiders. See if Johnson can capitalize, get that aerial attack going, and some lateral running from Bata. That's been the success early in this game.
And I know Henderson's kicking himself on that one. He could have taken that back to the house. It's going to bring up a first down and 10 here on the 45-yard line. Brandon Archibald in the backfield. Johnson looking deep downfield, sees Archibald, it hits him in stride, takes a lick but hangs on to it. What a catch and throw, Brandon Archibald from Johnson.
In the red zone now, they look to capitalize here. In the red zone coming.
And that's actually going to be an incomplete pass as Archibald wasn't able to hold on to the ball.
That was a tough hit. I would have been very, very surprised, but good for him for giving his best effort out there.
Brings up 2nd and 10.
So they would have been near the red zone, Justin, but with that, they're actually going to be right where they started at the 45-yard line. It's the 2nd and 10. Alex Sardi is going to motion in. Once again, another flag. It seems that any time that there's a motion shift in the wide receiver position, there are flags thrown for fractions of false starts or snap infractions.
Broadcaster's curse.
One thing I would say, I was reading the...
And it is going to be a snap infraction.
I'm letting the referee get his word in. But reading the Moorpark Reporter, moorparkreporter.com, they actually talked about this, the penalties that they have every single week. The coach is making them running gassers for those. You get to run 4 times back and forth the width of the field. So they are running yards out there every time they have a penalty.
That is a great point. I mean, penalties have been so detrimental to both of these teams here. But it's going to be down a 2nd and 15 now. Johnson's going to fake the snap, throw it over the middle to Dupree, who's wide open, has one man Dupree, cuts it on the backside. He is tackled, and that boy picks up that first down. Dupree Fuller has some wheels, gentlemen.
Dupree was running, and he didn't see anyone coming from the backhand side, so he must be happy to hold on to that football.
There is a lot of pain by number 68 offensive lineman for Moorpark College. Rolling around, it definitely looks to be in a lot of pain here, grabbing his helmet. You hate to see that happen. That is actually Joe Reyes, the 6'2", 290-pound freshman out of San Fernando. We hope to see him get back on his feet. Always a scary situation when that happens.
And this offensive line coming into this game was incredibly undersized. So when you try to rotate guys, that completely changes the makeup of this line and this team. So we'll see if we hope it's clearly an injury that is not too severe.
Right, definitely. You want to make sure he gets back to his own 2 feet. With that being said, we do want to thank a couple more of our sponsors. We couldn't do without any of you making this possible, so thank everyone. Los Robles Health System has been your source for your family's health care for more than 50 years. Award-winning care closer to home. Custom pie and bar next door. Wood-only oven pizza. 17 craft beers on tap. Wine by the glass. Appetizers, pasta, salad, and more. Home of the Raiders happy hour after every home football game. Marketplace, official supplier of trophies, awards, gifts, and apparel for Moorpark College Athletics since 2007. Coca-Cola celebrates helping athletes power through with Powerade. Corporate Graphic Communications, official signage company of Moorpark College Athletics. Jan's Marketplace, cheers to a successful season. Proudly supporting Moorpark College Athletics. The Hat Restaurant in Simi Valley. Since 1951, 68 years of serving the world's famous pastrami, burgers, dogs, chilies. Open 7 days a week from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. And with that being said, it is great to see Reyes get back to his own 2 feet. Obviously in a little bit of pain after that hit. But it is always great to see them get back on under his own power, as he will be looked at by the training staff.
Hopefully it's just a shock to the system. Usually when that happens, it didn't seem to be too worse for Ware. So look for him to possibly come back in this game if he's well enough.
It's a shame when there's such a big completion or something exciting that happens on the field, and there's an injury on the backside of everything. Kind of brings a damper to it.
And that's going to bring up a first down and 10 here on the 30-yard line. Moorpark looking to score. Johnson looking on the left side. He feels the pressure. He's going to take it himself. He's going to throw off his back foot. He has Sardi wide open, but it is deflected by number 5 on the Glendale Vaqueros there. Coming away with a heads-up play that would have led to a touchdown. That was Chris Lee. Pardon me, that was Torres Ingram.
Slightly underthrown.
Yeah, Isaiah rolls out pretty often. He's been decently accurate every time he rolls out, but that one, he wasn't able to get on all the zip he wanted on that.
And one thing I think that's overlooked is the amount of times that Johnson has to roll out in the pocket because he's pressured. He looks so calm when he does it. I mean, in this case, he's been there before so many times that it's become almost natural, even though the play's not designed like that usually. But he is very good at throwing off his back foot under pressure, and that's why he almost still made a play out of that. Regardless, it's going to bring up a 2nd down and 10. Sardi motions in towards the tight end position. Johnson looks over. He's going to go ahead and hit his receiver, who is caught. What a play. Reese Smith, the intended receiver. We haven't called his name too much this year, but he's definitely been hurt tonight. 1st down as they're in the red zone on the 5-yard line.
So now that they're actually in the red zone, here's the stat that I was going to bring up earlier, and that is that they are, in terms of the red zone, I actually am having trouble finding it at the moment.
Well, one thing I would say is the other wide receivers are really stepping up. Reese Smith is getting a part of it. Blake Batarsi is getting in on it. I don't think Dylan Lee has even popped off yet. So to have all those other playmakers is going to be very helpful.
Brandon Archibald on the right side. He's going to take it himself. Touchdown, Raiders. Brandon Archibald on the 5-yard rushing touchdown.
And that stat that I was going to tell you about, they are now 2 for 6 in red zone scores. That is a 30% clip. Red zone touchdown percentage will go up to 30% as well after that run in.
And Moore Park is going to go up 19-0. As I had alluded to earlier on in the game, PATs have been an enemy for Moore Park as they aren't able to, maintain them. They get these opportunities and they're not coming away with them. On the last drive, there was a penalty that revoked that extra PAT, and now they are up 19-0, but it should be 20-0. With that being said, Hagues Mokshin will go ahead and try once again for the PAT. The kick is up, and it is good.
Just initially off that first snap, you could already tell it was much better. The last snap was right down into the ground. That is tough for a kicker when the snap isn't all proper. Everything is such timing that you got to get it right.
Just for our viewers that can't see the crowd here tonight, this is a great show out for tonight's event. It is the first home game of the Moore Park Raiders. We will actually be talking to the president of Moore Park College here at halftime, just for everyone that wants to see that interview. It's going to be spectacular, but it is great to see we have a lot of friends and family out here, some familiar faces down here on the sideline. So it's a great atmosphere here at Moore Park College, and Moore Park's performance has definitely been showing out for their family.
It's exciting. Your first win of the season, your first home game of the season, everything is kind of clicking for them right now.
Potential first win, Robert.
This is true.
There's 9 minutes and 36 seconds left to go in the second quarter.
Plenty of time here, plenty of time.
Plenty of time. But I like where you're coming from.
The wheels would be falling off the train to get that 20-point advantage and lose it. Let's hope Moore Park can maintain this throughout the game.
Mokshin's going to have a very shallow pooch kick, as it has to be fair caught down at the 43-yard line. There is a flag, a little bit of pushing and shoving towards the end of the play.
These pooch kickoffs have been very weird. I'm surprised they're not booting them down the field.
And Hagues Mokshin's actually been known for that early on in this year. They don't really like to go deep too often. I know that Glendale doesn't really have a kick returning threat, but I think that Moore Park just doesn't want to give them the opportunity to even have a chance to take it back.
But the field position already, just to start, Glendale, if it stays where it stays right now, Glendale is in great field position to start.
We're going to shoot down to our sideline reporter, Ryan Ketchum, here. And just a few thoughts, Ryan, on the game thus far. I mean, how has the atmosphere down on the sideline really picked up? How has the team really started to come together? And ultimately, you can really see the unity, you can see the chemistry start to come together. So how has that really changed from the first quarter to the second quarter?
Yes, definitely. You've seen the chemistry building, and it seems like everybody out here, they're just revving everybody up. Anytime that there's a big play on offense, the defense, special teams, everybody is excited to be able to see it. Everybody's just pumping each other up. One thing that I do have to say, Michael Stewart in the offensive meeting, he said we're going to limit penalties. He wants to have only one penalty for the rest of the game. That's one of the big focuses they're focusing on right now, and hopefully they'll be able to do that out on the field.
Thank you for that, Ryan. As you had said, yeah, it is great to see everyone, trying to cut back on the penalties. There has been quite a few, as you had mentioned, but, it is great to see overall the team is really starting to come together. For the first time really this year, they've had this much success. So there was 2 penalties on the plays. There was an offside penalty by number 37 on the Moore Park Raiders prior to the kick. Of course, that means he stepped across the line before the kicker did. Number 37, as we had mentioned, that is Isaiah Pleasant. And then there was a unnecessary roughness, or personal foul, penalty after the kick by number 34 for the Moore Park Raiders, Kendall White. Both of those are going to be enforced on the kickoff, which will give Glendale a starting position at the 36-yard line.
Talk about great field possession. I stand corrected. They have even better field possession.
And in terms of time of possession per game, Glendale sits at 24 minutes and 46 seconds. That is 62nd in California. So that's something they're going to look to improve in terms of their control of this game.
They do have plenty
Eldridge
of
is going
time.
to fake the handoff to his running back and hit Lawrence, but he is topped right away by Mike Lopez.
With 9:20 left in this quarter, they're going to definitely want to put a score on the board before the half.
There's 9 minutes and 10 seconds remaining here in the second quarter as Moore Park continues to dominate this game, up 20-0.
But it is not a guaranteed win,
That's
as
right.
I learned.
We've seen crazier comebacks in the history of football. It's going to be a second down here in about 16. Eldridge is going to go ahead and hand the ball off to Fugate, who is smacked right there at the line as he's met with a handful of linebackers. Coates on the tackle, Henderson on the tackle, coming away with a nice hit.
And that's something Moore Park hangs their hat on. The physical nature of this linebacking core sets the tone for this entire defense.
You can see why he's a playmaker for this defense. He's got a lot of heart. He puts a lot into it with each tackle.
So it's going to be a third down and 14 for Glendale, as they've had very little success in the offensive side of the game. Once again, he's going to fake the handoff to Fugate. He's going to hit his receiver, Bray, on the reception. Nehemiah Bray, I should say.
I'm noticing a lot of Glendale's offense. It's coming close to the line. I don't know if it's a lack of protection from their O-line, but they haven't hit anything too deep, and being down this much, you think they'd start to open it up a little bit more.
Sean Varing is coming out of the game, and number 26, James Smith, will replace him as they have a substitution. Looks to maybe go with a run package, as it is a 4th down and 7. But Varing listed here as a wide receiver, tight end, pardon me, switching out for a running back, so maybe they want extra protection in the backfield for Eldridge. Lee's going to motion over, and he is going to hand it off, where he is lit up by Henderson, causing the fumble on the play, scooped up. He's at the 40,
That's
the
gonna be a
30,
stupid
the
score.
20, the 10. Touchdown Raiders! Antoine Wynn coming away with the hit and causing the fumble. Daniel Henderson on the play.
What a tackle. That was a statement play by the Raiders. He put some extra sauce on that spaghetti, and he was able to just scoop and score. Nobody down the sideline. That is going to be a wake-up call for this defense moving forward.
Moore Park defense showing the offense. They can put some points up on the board as well.
What an incredible and a heads-up play by Moore Park defense. Daniel Henderson read that run the entire time, smacked him and caused a fumble right away. Antoine Wynn, heads-up play, scooped up the ball before it was able to go out of bounds, as the rest of the Moore Park Raiders created a gate of protection.
Yeah, that was a tightrope run right there on the sideline.
Shane DeFari, number 73, running into the game late here to make sure that he's on for the PAT unit with just 8 seconds left on the on the play clock. Ryan, down there on the field, you got a lot better look than we did, Ryan Ketchum. What were you able to ultimately take away from that? How was the atmosphere right there? What was the sound of that play? I mean, how is the emotion and environment right now on the sideline?
I like how you said the sound, because literally it was blistering. I mean, just going down here on the sideline, it wasn't like an average team that just scored. This team, it seemed like they won a championship. They were so excited, they actually ran across the field with Antoine Wynn, and they were just yelling the whole entire time. They were pumping him up. They were celebrating with him, and it was just great to be able to see a team come together like this with 2 back-to-back losses and a pretty bad loss last week, and then Moore Park College now coming out here making a statement. They all got behind him, and it seems like it's only up that they could be able to go the rest of the game.
I'm just glad you didn't get trampled, Ryan. Way to avoid the fray down there.
Thank you. I'm glad I didn't get trampled.
Ryan, they did make a statement. What a play. Moore Park now up 27-0 with 7 minutes and 15 seconds remaining here in the second quarter. They are going to go a booming kick that's going to fall all the way down to about the 3-yard line, returned by Jalen Lawrence, who sees a hole. He's going to try and cut it back to the left, but he is swarmed as he gets a gain of just about 14 on the play. A little bit extra shoving. Flags are thrown. There was a little bit of shoving on both sides there. Great to see the refs are breaking it up, teammates making sure they're keeping it within their emotions.
These refs are on top of it. They're calling this game very tight. Very little chippiness is being allowed so far in this game.
Yeah, with a 27-0 lead, you get a little bit afraid of that. Emotions start to fly a little bit more as the score starts to get rung higher and higher.
If you're Moore Park, you need to stay composed. Really, both teams, for opposite reasons. You have success if you're Moore Park right now, and you want to continue that by not letting these penalties affect you. And if you're Glendale, you need to stay composed to begin to think about how you want to get back into this game in terms of your play calling.
It's probably a pretty nice position to have Moore Park in. I mean, they're so used to, at least in the last year or two, so used to being on the opposite side of this, being down 27-0 early on in the game and, not seeing if there's any way out and how can they even come back. So it's really nice to see this hard work and their persistency to stay focused on the season, take it one game at a time, has really paid off tonight as they're up 27-0 with just 7 minutes and 7 seconds left in the second quarter. We do want to thank a couple more of our sponsors, though, as we have a break in the action, starting with Ladin Auto Group, featuring Subaru, family-owned and operated for over 45 years. Always closer to home, located in the Thousand Oaks Mall, Ladin Subaru.
After the offsetting penalties, the Vaqueros take over 1st and 10 on their own 15-yard line.
So the Glendale Vaqueros are going to take this right here at the 16-yard line. He's going to hand off the ball to Washington, who has to cut it back, grabbed by the ankles, and he's going to be taken down for a loss of 2 by the Moore Park defense.
Now this
Elijah Washington on the carry.
This linebacking core, their ability to read the defense, they have speed off the edge as well, so they're able to stop the run very early. And in terms of the passing attack, it's been so ineffective that Glendale has no opportunity to open it up at the moment.
And the Vaqueros are going to get the ball here on 2nd and 10. Off the hands of the intended receiver for the Glendale Vaqueros, number 4, Maurice Herrera.
That's got to be so disheartening after that last drive. You finally get good field position. You have an opportunity to maybe close the gap a little bit, and then that fumble happens. I don't know how these wide receivers are running, but that route was pretty identical to the route that got popped on, and the fumble occurred.
So 6 minutes, 34 seconds remaining in the second quarter. Going to get the snap, throw it across the middle, hit his intended receiver, but coming across the middle, what a play. Rashawn Williams, there is a flag though.
He will get flagged for that.
And he got popped right in the head at the end of that play. Refs will not allow that. That's yet another cheap penalty. Something Moore Park to this point has gotten away with a 27-0 lead. If you're Glendale, with regards to these penalties and everything else, you might actually want to think about a quarterback change, maybe something to ignite your offense in terms of the passing department.
That's a tough penalty on the defense. You're trying to make a play. You don't want them to catch the ball, but at the same time, that aggressiveness, that hitting that blind side wide receiver, that is scary for them.
So a great play by number 14 from Moore Park College, Rashad Williams. But it's all going to be for nothing as the penalty is going to go against for unnecessary roughness, number 21, Peyton Shelton, the veteran secondary athlete out there with the call. So Vaqueros are going to keep possession, and it's going to be a new set of downs. Now they're just going to hand the ball off. Sees a room, and he's going to take a hit. Coming across on that hit, number 26 for the Moore Park Raiders, Dante Gibbons. Just laid the wood.
Looks like he got almost sandwiched between two guys, and he was able to create that physical play in the secondary, something, again, Moore Park hangs their hat on. Physical play, but they need to stay composed.
This is an aggressive game we play, boys.
Off the intended receiver's hands, wide receiver Nehemiah Bray.
Number 2, Nehemiah Bray, brings up 3rd and 1 from the 39-yard line.
3rd and 1, they may choose a run play here, just get a first down. With 5 minutes and 54 seconds left, they do have all 3 timeouts to play with.
Glendale's going to need to pick this up just for morale. They got to get that 1-yard line right here.
So it's going to be a 3rd down and 1. Eldridge is going to hand the ball off once again. Tries to cut it back, but he's going to be short.
That's close, yeah.
As Carlos Coates led the tackle on that play.
They may look to, I don't know if they're going to look to measure, but he did look to be short.
4th and 1 from the 39-yard line.
They may go for it. Well, it appears they're bringing in the punt team.
Pretty conservative at this point in the game.
Yeah, I mean, you're on your own 39 and a half.
It's true.
And you're down 27. At this point, I would go for it. You want to get some points on the board, being down this much.
I mean, especially too, you take in the circumstance, it's a 4th and 1. I mean, it's not a 4th and 5,
Right.
4th and 10. I mean, that's a very manageable 4th and 1.
That being said, it was 3rd and 1, and they weren't able to pick it up. So maybe some of the coaches talking about.
That's going to bounce and be picked up as he's tackled. And the ball's dropped, but they're gonna mark it dead. They're going to say his knee touched the ground before he fumbled the ball.
Brings up 1st and 10 later.
As that was number 20, Mike Lopez, on the return.
That was actually a lucky slip for Mike Lopez. He was not. Nobody pushed him. Nobody forced him. He just slipped on his own, and luckily his knee hit the ground because he did fumble that ball before going down.
And that usually comes from an indecisive position, something where you're not sure if you want to pick up the ball or let it roll, and then you decide too late with the special teams coverage swarming towards you.
So it's going to be a 1st down and 10 for Moore Park College as they're going to start with the ball on the 25-yard line here. Isaiah Johnson once again leading the charge at quarterback position. Going to get the snap, hand it off to Malachi Meeks, who gets a hole, lowers his shoulder, and picks up a nice gain of 7 yards on the play.
Yeah, if I was Mike Stewart, I'd definitely get that run game going for him. The running backs have been a strength that he has wanted to emphasize. This is the perfect opportunity for them to get some work in, get a little bit of experience and also a little bit of confidence moving forward.
And we spoke about bleeding the clock. This is something they can do now. Again, they have all 3 timeouts, but they're up 27-0. They may look for a long drive here.
So it's going to be a 2nd down and 2. Meeks accompanying Johnson in the backfield. Lee down here on the far side. Sardi in the motion. He's going to go ahead and fake the handoff, keep it himself, as Johnson does so well. Lowers his shoulder and picks up the 1st down.
Johnson on the carry, takes the ball out.
1st down, Moore Park Raiders.
And that's good enough for another Raider.
Even on that run, Johnson's looking pretty cautious, being pretty smart not to take a hit, trying to avoid as much as he can. He did get tackled, but like Ryan alluded to earlier, or Nick alluded to earlier, he's not putting his shoulder down. He's not trying to be extra aggressive. He needs to stay healthy to lead this team.
Nor should he be. Again, you're up 27-0. You don't want to have an unnecessary injury.
And he knows the passing attack can get it done. It's not like they need the run. With that being said, he's going to go ahead and hit Sardi on a comeback screen, lower his shoulder, and pick up a gain of 3.
Unfortunately, I have seen playmakers make unwise decisions. Jimmy Garoppolo, as an example, putting his shoulder down before running out of bounds, totally unnecessary. So way to Johnson to have a heads-up play and kind of stay healthy.
And Moore Park had a similar quarterback in Bryce Viola last year, who was definitely the kind of guy that would want to lower his shoulder, before he took the hit. And he actually had an injury that ended his season as well. So you do have to be careful about lowering your shoulder at quarterback. But Johnson's going to throw it deep, and it is caught by his intended receiver, number 83 for Moore Park College, coming away with a phenomenal grab, Blake Batarse.
And Batarse's name has been called a lot today. I love that play call because you're not, in terms of time and score, you can still be aggressive in certain situations. And I like the fact that they're trying to, again, get into field goal range and put some more points on the board.
Good point. And as a wide receiver, he did a great job bodying, putting his body in between him and the DB, giving him no chance to break that up.
So it's a 1st down and 30 once again. Every time we see number 84, Alex Sardi motion, there seems to be some sort of false start or confusion. Not necessarily saying it's him every time, but whenever they like to motion their slot receiver across the field, there's always a flag.
That's something they're definitely going to work on in practice this week.
Offense, number 7-3. 5-yard penalty, remains 1st down.
And that has got to be, that is at the minimum the 3rd time that number 73 for the Moore Park Raiders, Shane Daftari, has had a penalty called against him. Now, they always say the only time you ever should hear if you hear your name as an offensive lineman, it means you did something wrong. And we've called his name 3 times tonight, so Daftari has to get it together. Meeks is going to motion out to the right side. Johnson's going to look to his left. He's going to throw it deep as he has Lee wide open again, but inaccurate throw. There looks to be a little bit of pushing and shoving down here as the linemen are going to break it up.
And good job by the officials to also step in at that point in time and and diffuse it before it went any further. There was a receiver open on the sideline near the 30, and a lot of daylight also over there, and Johnson just didn't see him.
To be honest, I think both receivers on this left-hand side closest to us, I think both of them thought that the ball was going to the other person. Kind of both of them kind of faded away from it. They did have an opportunity in that left corner.
So it's going to be a, it's going to be a 2nd down and 15. Johnson with a great intention, but just overthrew his receiver. Lee's going to get it on the wide receiver screen they love to go to so well. And he's going to push and fight for a gain of 2 or 3. But there is just 2 minutes, 28 seconds remaining here in the 2nd quarter as Moore Park is kind of under pressure to score before the half.
They're on the fringe of field goal range at least here. Again, all 3 timeouts to play with. Haven't called one yet. The clock has stopped at the moment, possibly to just move the chains and get some guys off the field.
So Dylan Lee's going to have to come out for a violation. He also lost his helmet, so regardless, he would have to come out for one play. I think it should be noted, number 80 for Moore Park, Reese Smith, is 6'2", 175 pounds. You usually see him in the slot, but you don't realize how big he is at 6'2". Going to fake the handoff, and as I said, he's going to look for Smith, who makes an exceptional grab, has one man to beat, and he's tackled down at the 1-yard line. Did his knee go down? They're going to say yes. What a phenomenal grab by Smith.
The athleticism on that play and the extension.
So close. For all the effort he put on that, he wanted that touchdown.
And I think that was almost like you could say I called the play, guys, just because I talked about how tall Reese Smith was and his ability to make that grab that only tall guys can make. So I think I should get some credit on the call.
No, not for me.
Shooters shoot their shot. I like it.
Shooters shoot the shot. So it's going to be a 1st and goal here down at the 3-yard line. Brandon Archibald in the backfield, but they're going to go ahead and give it to Malachi Meeks for a touchdown. Moore Park Raiders are going to go up 33-0, as this has to be their most dominant half that they've had in over a year.
Well, and the advantage of that touchdown is, once again, they still have all 3 timeouts with 1:21. If they really want to try and stay aggressive, they can look to use those timeouts if Glendale chooses to run the football down for the half.
Malachi Meeks, their most productive rusher, putting it in the end zone. You guys all remember me talking about that. I think I called that shot. I'll take credit.
There's enough credit to go around for everybody. Even Ryan down on the sideline over there.
Yes, there is. And you can see on the sideline, they're having some good spirits right now. Everybody's excited.
As they should be. When you put up a dominant half like this, you're going to make the entire staff happy, as well as yourselves.
Eddie Mbata showing off those wheels as he has to get set with just 8 seconds remaining on the play clock. Otherwise, Moore Park will take a penalty for delay of game. Just 3 seconds left. They are able to get the kickoff, and the play's up.
The kick is good. And
With 1:21 to play, we do want to thank just a few more of our sponsors before we go into halftime. We couldn't do it without you guys. Starting with Meathead Movers. Don't settle for anything less than the best. Meathead Movers. Proudly serving Ventura County since 2007. Stonefire Grill, where community is served. Dine in, take out, deliver, and catering. Proudly supporting Moore Park College athletics. College football is here. Celebrate with Chick-fil-A, located in the Sycamore Square in Simi Valley. Eat, drink, play at Dave & Buster's in Thousand Oaks. Ryan, how has the coaching staff and the chemistry bound? We talked about this before, but overall, why has Moore Park been so dominant this first half? I mean, as far as Moore Park's really been so dominant. They're up 33-0 here, now 34-0. You've gotten a lot better look here on the sideline. What is the main thing that they've executed that they haven't done in the last 2 games?
Yeah, so something that they're executing right now, they're executing on a deep pass play. That's what we've actually seen in the previous game when Trey Johnson came in at the end. There were deep pass plays that they went to, which was Blake Batarse and Reese Smith. And both of those guys did not have too many touches until last game, and now they're being used in the offensive scheme. So I think that's a big thing to look for. Batarse and Smith in the offensive scheme now, and they're going deep to both those receivers.
And that will go into the end zone. There is a couple of flags on the play there, so we'll see what the call is.
That's got to be exciting for Mike Stewart to have playmakers, the wide receivers really step up here in this third game. Week after week, they've been getting a little bit better, a little bit more like Ryan had said earlier, and Nick had said earlier, and it's going to be exciting coming forward, move at week 4, see what they put on the field.
And Ryan, as you talked about, Blake Batarse and Reese Smith, both exceptional athletes and really underdogs that we haven't really seen. You know, Batarse. So there is a personal foul on number 24, Meeks, which will make it half the distance to the goal from their original spot of the return. But as Ryan had talked about, Reese Smith along with Blake Batarse have really stepped up their game here. I mean, both of them on the team last year. Batarse did redshirt, so this is his first year of eligibility. But both of these two in the receiving position have really benefited Moorpark. And Moorpark's passing game is something that they've lacked all last year. So it's great to see that they have some real targets and multiple targets they can use for the 2019 season. But Eldridge is going to go ahead and just hand the ball off, or pitch the ball off, on the option read, as he's tackled for maybe a gain of 2 yards.
I do wonder if that penalty actually affected the play call now. With not much time left in the half and then being backed up towards your own end zone, it can make things a little bit tougher. Maybe you want to just take the loss for now, go in, recoup, and come out stronger the second half.
And it doesn't look like Moorpark is in any mood to call their timeouts at all. They're pleased with the half they've put up and will go into the locker room feeling confident as well.
Yeah, an exceptional first half by Moorpark College, all Moorpark College, but really all Moorpark College in the second quarter. The first quarter, they were only up 7-0. Since then, they've had 27 unanswered points in the second quarter alone. Eldridge throwing off his back foot, has one receiver, but it's picked up by Mike Lopez, number 20 for the Moorpark defense. Intended receiver, Nehemiah Bray, unable to come away with it. Moorpark with the ball back once again.
And he has been all over the field today. And now that changes the entire play call for this Moorpark offense. Again, with 3 timeouts, they can look to put up 3 more points at least with a field goal here.
Let's see how aggressive they are coming out of it. They do have that opportunity. Let's see. A half of 34-0, that's not a bad half to have right now as is. Let's see if they make it 37, but good on Moorpark for doing what they have done this first half.
He's going to lose the ball, but somehow pick it back up like he does so often. Has nowhere to go, and he's going to be tackled. Got a nice ankle tackle right there. You got to be careful, especially as your quarterback, when you get an ankle tackle, to just go down. Do not want to risk any sort of potential injury.
And a play like that will really end the half. Once you get something negative happen, you don't want to keep it going. You don't want to force it. You got a 34-0 lead. Be happy with it and go into the halftime.
And that is going to wrap up the first half. We do want to we did want to thank all of our sponsors, but we do want to shoot it back down to Ryan Catcham just one more time here, if he's able to get an interview or two. This has been an exceptional first half so far. What are your guys' thoughts so far in the game?
Hey, coaches.
Well, honestly, I think everybody's been stepping up. Wide receivers, we're going to shoot down to Ryan for you, actually.
We're going to shoot down to Ryan Catcham real quick with Mike Stewart.
Yes, I'm right here with head coach Mike Stewart, able to come out 34 points in the first half. You were able to just explode offensively. How were you able to do that? What was the game plan coming into this one?
We started slow last 2 games, so we wanted to come out here and show people that we do have a pretty good offense and we can run around. We got some weapons. And then defensively, they've done their goals. We wanted to go 3 and out, and we started off going 3 and out. We kept the goose leg on the board. We want to continue that. We're not going to take our foot off the pedal. We want these guys to get reps. We want the backups to get in there and continue the production. So we've been repping it all week, best week of practice, so it's obviously showing right now.
We saw a couple of trick plays, including Blake Batarse, a touchdown pass to Dylan Lee. Was that something to kind of jumpstart your offense a little bit, or why'd you go to those trick plays?
Yeah, we worked on it last week, and these guys executed pretty well at practice, and we just felt like it was a great opportunity down here in the red zone. I think right now we could do a lot of different things, but trying to get other guys involved instead of just the quarterback receivers, trying to get guys that don't get the ball as much, guys that don't get to throw the ball. We'll see a whole new offense on the second half with new players. It was sort of get the tempo going and get these guys excited that we could put up some points today.
Definitely, we saw a lot more Batarse, Reese Smith as well being implemented in the offense this week. But one of the main points that I heard you talking about, last question right here, Coach, is you were talking about minimizing your penalties on the offensive end. How are you going to do that? What are you going to tell your teams at halftime to make sure that they get that executed?
Yes, we talk about disappointment. That's where I'm at right now. Too many penalties on ourselves. We're hurting ourselves. We're actually playing against, ourselves. We're not playing against Glendale right now. I think the scoreboard should even be more if we didn't penalize ourselves in that first half. So I'll make it a big point of emphasis. I mean, every day on Mondays we run for every penalty we do. So hopefully these guys clean it up, and we can cut it down second half.
Definitely. Thank you very much, Coach. I do appreciate you joining us on the Moore Park Raider live stream. That was head coach Michael Stewart. Make sure that you stay tuned with us here on the Moore Park Raider live stream, as we'll have the halftime show in just a few moments. Thank you.
And that's going to go ahead and wrap up the first half here at Moore Park College. We'll be right back with our halftime interview. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. We'll be right back in a few short minutes. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Stewart Pre-Game Show. I'm alongside me, Dr. Julius Sokanu. How you doing today?
I'm doing very well, thank you.
Awesome. Thank you for joining us today, Julius. Now, Julius, you are the interim president here at Moore Park College.
Yes,
How has
sir.
that experience been? I know that you had done a little bit of work as the VP, actually, of
Yes.
academic affairs.
Yes,
How has
yes.
that transition been from VP of affairs to now the overall here at Moore Park College?
Sure. The college community has been incredibly supportive. I think one of the benefits of having been here for 13 years is I know the college community quite well. I have been actively involved in the various initiatives of the college, and this gives me an opportunity to continue that work from a different seat, but definitely continue that work in terms of ensuring student success, in terms of making sure that the brand that is Moore Park College is much understood and people are aware of it, the work that we do at this college, fourth best community college in the nation, best community college in the state, and the fact that we have great transfer rates, we have one of the highest transfer rates in the state, actually the highest at this point. And our retention rates in terms of our student success is 64%, which is the highest in the state. So all of those great things that the college offers and the college does, I want the rest of the world to know about it and the rest of our community to know about it. So this opportunity gives me that opportunity to do that work.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I mean, Moore Park College has been so spontaneous when it comes to academics, and as you talked about, that's something that you really do focus on.
Yes.
Now, I do want to shift just a little bit. We are here at the Moore Park football game.
Yes, we are at the football
and
game.
They are up 34-0 right now. How are you enjoying the game?
They are totally phenomenal. I mean, this one of the best things that happens on this campus are our scholar athletes, and people don't realize just how much energy, how much time, how much focus they put into the game. And they put not into the academics, but also into the sports. And so I am so proud of them. We have a gym that's about to come online shortly, and a state-of-the-art gym. And so I'm really glad. And go Raiders! I mean, they're doing so well tonight. They're just doing so well.
They are. They really have picked it up. I mean, the last two games haven't gone the way they wanted to, but tonight has really been spectacular.
Yes, it is.
Moore Park really has come together, and as we talked about, they're up 34-0. Now, a little bit more here on the academic side, and a little bit, actually, more backstory about you. Now, you originally are from Nigeria, correct?
I am from Nigeria, West Africa, yes.
Okay, and how was that transition coming from Nigeria now moving to the United States?
Sure. I came to the United States actually to be an undergraduate at USC quite a while ago.
Right.
For me, it was really coming to a first world country that I had already sort of dreamt about, and particularly one that I'd known enough about. But when you live there, it's different from what you know and what you see.
Right.
And I had these images of everybody like in the Wild West, and it wasn't. And I'm very glad that I had the opportunity to come to school here and to live in this country. The transition, I think, was possible because I had a lot of great people who were supporting me.
Right.
Where I went to school at SC, there was a wonderful international student community, great advisors and counselors that helped point me in the right direction, and a lot of opportunities that then allowed me to be able to go to graduate school and continue on. And so the transition, as always, you adjust to a new culture, but I'm very glad that I've had that opportunity to do that.
Yeah, and you had a great support system. I think that's a huge part of, obviously, in whatever you want to do, in whatever career you're successful and you're passionate about, to have a great group of successful and passionate people that are there to support you as well.
Yes.
Which brings me to one of my final questions here. You've been a faculty member here at Moore Park for well over 10 years, over a decade. What has made you stick around in this community? I mean, you've come from, as we talked about, the Dean of Student Learning to now all the way as the President of Moore Park College. What has been the one or two main deciding factors for keeping you around and being so involved in this community?
Sure. This college community is one where I am so proud to be a member of because everybody gives their best. I mean, excellence is key. And in this college community, the faculty members, the staff, the student workers, the administrators, everybody believes in student success. Everybody believes in excellence. Folks start from, how will this help students? Any decisions that we make across this campus, people ask that question. And it's all really about supporting students, helping students achieve their very best, and providing them with high support, but having high expectations. And that, for me, has been one of the values and virtues that keeps me here, because I know that I'm making an impact in people's lives. I am working with colleagues who believe in doing this, and equally as important that we see the success in students' lives. I couldn't be at a better place.
That's awesome. And I mean, that's a great point. I mean, the students' lives, the atmosphere, as you had talked about, I mean, the high expectations that not only are you setting, but they are hitting and they're out there, they're over, succeeding in so many aspects. I think that it's great. So with that being said, we're going to go ahead and wrap up the Mike Stewart pregame show or post halftime show. Julius, I want to thank you once again for being here on the show and enjoy the second half of the game.
Thank you so much.
We'll be right back after a few short break in action. Don't go anywhere.
All right, bye, honey. Huh?
Welcome back to the second half here on the Moore Park Raider live stream, where Moore Park is hosting the visiting Glendale College Vaqueros.
Guys, I was walking down near the sidelines hearing both tents on the side. It was not good on the Glendale side.
I can only imagine what you heard down there, but it is going to be kicked off down to the 20-yard line. Lawrence is going to have a nice hole as he has one man to beat Mokshian. He's down to the 40, to the 30, to the 20, 10, touchdown Glendale.
Hate to burst your bubble, but it's coming back. There's laundry.
There looks to be some laundry, and we are referring to a flag.
I was about to say, Coach really fired them up in there.
And I spoke with the secondary coach. We're going to wait for the call here, and then I'll make that comment in a minute.
So that's going to be a hold on number 41 for Glendale. All that for nothing. Bruce Gonzalez just costed his fellow teammate Jalen Lawrence a touchdown.
And so I spoke with Coach Robinson at halftime. He's the secondary coach, and I spoke to him about, you know, this deficit that they are facing and what they can do to adjust. And one of the things they are struggling with that he told me is that they have not had an identity on offense yet because they've been shuffling some people around so much. So finding their identity through the course of this season is something they're going to have to work on in order to find a rhythm as well.
Yeah, that's something that they're working on, especially with the quarterback. Nathan Eldridge was only 5 for 16 and only 12 yards, so they are shuffling. They're switching their quarterback. They're going to try something different this next half.
And that's going to be Jorge Maya now for the first time taking his first snap tonight. Hands off to Washington, who has a hole and able to push down for about 5 yards on the gain. That is a good point, as you were talking about, Robert. You know, first half really wasn't much going on at the quarterback position in Nathan Eldridge. And if we look at these two stats, we're able to break them down and compare them. At least when it comes to attempts this season, coming into this game, George Amaya had just one less attempt, 37 attempts, to Nathan Eldridge's 38 attempts on the year.
And if you're Glendale, you're going to want to score quick and often now that you're down 34. That's the only way you're going to get back into this game.
And from the first half stats, he has only Nathan Eldridge has only 12 yards all first half. Very, very low numbers. Amaya's going to keep it himself and take a lick as he tries to cut up the middle. And that's what's going to happen when you come through that Moore Park defense. Daniel Henderson laying the wood on that one.
That is not a good way to get greeted into this game.
3rd and 3 here. They need to be careful. It's not as obvious. It's not an obvious passing situation. 13:43 and ticking here.
See, the thing is, you got to treat the second half as a new game, almost like it's 0-0 on the scoreboard. You got to give it your all, your heart. It's a little disheartening the way the first half happened, but they're hoping the second half can be something different.
Out here on the far side, number 14, Maurice Herrera, along with number 17, Michael Leon. Amaya's going to feel the pressure, throw way off his back foot, try and hit his intended receiver. Who comes down with it? The Raiders, Peyton Shelton, the veteran on the secondary, number 21, coming away with the interception. But there's a flag.
That's at least his second interception of the game. They have a flag on the field. We'll see if it's coming back, but not sure at the moment.
Whose second interception of the game? Did you mean Moore Park's?
Well, Moore Park has at least 2. I know that for a fact. There has been a couple by Zamora at least. Shelton, that could have been his first.
Excessive celebration by number 41 on the Moore Park College for the Moore Park College Raiders, and that's going to be against Anthony Irvin.
Glendale coaches got to be scratching their head right now. They go with the quarterback change, and within the first drive, there's another interception on the play. I know these quarterbacks are trying to make a play, but these quarterbacks also got to give their team a good shot, and they can't give away possessions.
And if you're Moore Park, you want to celebrate, but you want to keep it composed. Again, these refs are calling the game tight. You can't get too overzealous in that. I always like a guy that celebrates personally. I think it shows passion for the game as well.
And that's going to be a first down as Moore Park's going to start this drive here on the 28-yard line. Johnson still the quarterback for the Moore Park Raiders, up 34-0. Going to motion Sardi over as they do so often, and as they do so often, throw a flag every time we see 84 motion across the field. Now, guys, I just have to have my input here, and I know you guys can chip in as well. They have to get rid of this play. Something obviously doesn't line up with the formation. There's got to be some sort of infraction that happens when 84 moves across the field. They got to get rid of this play.
It's actually funny that you say that because they keep going back to it. It's the only play they're getting flagged on constantly.
Well, and I think it's tough because you don't know if it's a false start or a snap infraction, so you can't pin it on one player either.
Right.
You can't pin it on one play call.
It's going to be a first down and 15 now. Fakes the handoff, throws it up the middle. It is to Pre-Fuller, who has some room, has some wheels down to the 40, cuts back, shoves down, and gets tackled down at the 49-yard line. Dupree Fuller has some serious wheels, but there is a Moore Park Raider injured down there on the field. That's number 80, Reese Smith, who had that touchdown right before the end of this first half. He looks to be grabbing his leg and rolling over in a tremendous amount of pain.
Hopefully it's just a cramp.
You saw that playmaking ability from number 1, Dupree Fuller. Coach Stewart actually had a quote for him, being the number 1, the number for that position. He's a tight end, and he can play make. And so he said, number 1, we gave him that number for a reason. We felt he was one of their biggest playmakers for the offense.
Up 34, Moorpark may look to get playing time from guys you don't normally see, trying to see what their skill set may be for not only future games this season, but even heading into next year, knowing what guys might be able to do for this team.
Ball on the 48-yard line, 12 minutes and 56 seconds left to go. He's going to hand off to Archibald, who automatically cuts it right back. He's grabbed from behind. He keeps moving his feet, but he's going to be tackled for just a gain of 2. Gain of 1, pardon me. Patarsi back out there, along with Sardi and Lee. Lee's been rather quiet. I mean, I know he had a touchdown early on in the game, gentlemen. But since then, I mean, it's a good problem to have. There's so many other weapons offensively that they don't even need to go to Lee as often as they did the first couple games.
I think this game's really a confidence booster for everybody. Try to get as many playmakers as you can involved. When you have this big of a lead, you want to take advantage of that.
He's going to fake the handoff, throw to the right, hits Patarse, takes a tackle, but not before picking up 5 yards on the carry. I mean, on the reception.
And in terms of Moorpark, they may look to play a little bit more conservative here. Not sure if they want to take any shots deep. They are up 34-0 again, so not sure how they want to go about it right now.
Third down and 6.
They may look to snap with easily under 10 of the play clock moving forward.
Johnson looking wide open, hits Lee, who holds onto the ball and then loses the ball. It's going to be a fumble. Who has it?
That ball could go be either way. Moorpark, there was only one other person out there, and it bounced pretty close to him.
Well, there was 3 Glendale players farther downfield. It looks like they have recovered. There's also a Moorpark player down on the field.
Dylan Lee.
Shaken up. That's what Glendale needs, though. They're going to need turnovers if they want to get back into this game. Some lucky bounces coming their way.
You got to have a short-term memory. You see the frustration on his face for losing that ball. But you got to keep your head
up. Looks more like
up.
frustration than injury at first. I thought he might have been down, but it looks like he was just angry they couldn't make the play.
Dylan Lee definitely puts his emotions on his sleeves. Some of those false starts that they're having, you could see the frustration. Now he just slammed his helmet on the sideline. He's got to reel that back, especially with a lead this big.
Understanding the situation is key.
It's me a hand up right up the middle as he's tackled after a gain of 5. Yeah, and I mean, I understand the frustration, but being up 34-0 and the season that Lee's already had, you can't be this over, I guess, frustrated with yourself. I mean, it's one play, it happens, be mad, but you hang your head this long and you know you're not going to be able to recover.
Well, part of it, in an understandable way, could be because it is the home opener of the year. Your family's here for the first game of the season. You want to impress them and your staff as well. So that, in some ways, I can understand what it means in that context.
You just got to be careful not to take away from the team.
He's going to throw off to his right side, hits his tight end, number 88, that comes up the field, pushed out. What a hit, but it's going to be clean because he was still running upfield. Tackle made by number 7 on Moorpark College, Quinton Palmer. On the reception, number 88 for Glendale, that's Sean Thering.
For Glendale, the offense has had a little bit more life so far. I know we had that interception early, but now they are finally moving the chains here. This is actually the first time they've been moving the chains consistently down the field.
And if you're Glendale, you might want to look for no huddle offense. You're coming up on about 10-17 and ticking. You're going to want to put some points on the board fast.
First down and 10 here, ball on the 48-yard line. Amaya in the backfield. Motion over number 6, Baldwin. Hands off to Washington, who's going to take a hit. Gain of just 2. Ryan, you had talked about earlier in the first half, we saw number 29 of Glendale go down early on in the game and wasn't even seen. I guess he was still off the field the entire time, but wasn't even seen on the cart until late in the second quarter, as you had mentioned. What have you seen so far from number 29 on Glendale, that being Adam Martinez?
Yes, Adam Martinez, he was on the training table for most of the first half. They were testing his balance, and they were showing that he was unable to go in at the time. He is back on the bench, so we're going to have to see if he's in, but they were doing some precautionary concussion tests, and so far, we're just going to be seeing if he's able to go back in and he's healthy enough.
Amaya's going to barely get the pass off, and it's thrown away. And that is a great point, Ryan. I mean, as you talked about, he is a crucial part of this. You didn't talk about it, but he was a starter here. Number 29, Adam Martinez. And the fact that he's out of the game, Glendale has enough problems to worry with being down 34-0, but that's just going to make it that much harder for them to come back.
Yeah, for me, when there's just big score differentials, the biggest thing I worry about is injury. You always got to be careful on both sides of the ball. You want everyone to walk out of here when the game's mostly decided. You want everyone to walk out healthy.
Well, and if you're Glendale, this is 4 down territory moving forward. If you're not backed up near your own 20-yard line, at this point, you're going to go for it, in my opinion.
So it's 3rd down and 8. Amaya dropping back, looking to go deep with it as he's going to throw it. Hit his receiver as it's caught. What a throw. 45-yard bomb to number 6, Chris Lee.
Unfortunately, he's on the ground still. He made a great play, but he is hurting after that one.
Well, and if you're Moore Park, that's what you cannot allow to happen for the rest of this game. Those deep passes, they're going to be playing a lot of prevent coverage. 6 DBs, usually if they're going to throw it deep, maybe 3-man in the box kind of an idea. So you're going to want to make sure you prevent those deep throws.
Yeah, the biggest thing I saw on that one, he just had all the time in the world. There was no rush in front of him. He was able to find his sweet spot and then throw it out there to his receiver.
And with that being said, we're going to thank a couple more of our sponsors. Once again, we couldn't do it without any of you, so thank everyone for making this opportunity possible for the broadcasting crew. Starting with U.S. Army. Go on business trips with a company like no other, U.S. Army. Big Brand Tire and Service. Big on fast, big on friendly. Wells Fargo Bank. Wells Fargo is recommitting to help all of our customers succeed financially. Wells Fargo, established in 1852, reestablished in 2018. UCLA Health, a proud sponsor for Moore Park College Athletics, with neighborhood offices in Simi Valley, Porter Ranch, Thousand Oaks, Ventura, and Westlake Village. The very best care is now closer to you. UCLA Health, it begins with you. Pegasus Transit, we are the answer to your transportation needs. In-N-Out Burger, freshness you can taste. With that being said, we're going to get right back into the action. It was good to see that number 6 for the Glendale Vaqueros, Chris Lee is able to walk off on his own 2 feet. He was someone that was, prominent in this passing offense. So for him to go down, yet another strike against Glendale. They are going to get the ball, though, in the red zone as the ball is here on the 12-yard line.
Here's a Glendale red zone opportunity. Let's see what they do down here. This is our first time doing this.
Amaya and Washington in the backfield. Chowden trips on the left. Looking across the middle, feels the pressure, has to step out. Throwing to his right, tries to throw over the top of his hand, and that's going to be incomplete. Try to throw a little lob pass for the intended receiver, number 25, Elijah Washington.
And in terms of red zone scores, they are 3 for 4 coming into this game. That's a 75% clip, and 3 of those 4 were also touchdowns. Yep. So they look to continue that success once they get down to this part of the field.
Although he hasn't done much just quite yet, Jalen Lawrence is a player I'd be looking for down here in the red zone. He has scored 3 out of their 4 touchdowns, as we talked about earlier. He is deadly here in the end zone.
So it's going to be a 2nd down and 10 here. Amaya's going to get the handoff, give it to Washington, who cuts it outside, tries to cut it upfield at the 5, tackle down at the 10, tackle down at the 5. It's going to bring up a 3rd down and 4.
And Washington is that 4th touchdown, the other player who has scored for them.
And again, I also see this scenario as a 4-down territory. I don't even think you want to come away with 3. To me, it's 7 or bust moving forward.
6. And
6,
then they got to put in that
point.
extra.
Correct.
Yeah.
It's not guaranteed.
Jump the gun a little bit right there.
As we've seen, it is not guaranteed.
It's going to be a 3rd down and 4 here. Amaya already having more success than Eldridge did in the entire first half. Hands it off once again to Washington, and he's tackled, a shoelace tackle, but nevertheless important by number 55 on that Moore Park linebacker crew. Coming away. A.J. Reynoso.
And Glendale has to be careful because when they've snapped it recently, it's almost been at the end of the play clock, so they got to be careful of a delay of game here.
So they're going to go for it, of course, here on a 4th down and 7, down 34-0 with just 7 minutes and 31 seconds remaining in the third quarter. It makes all the sense in the world for Glendale to go for it. Let's see if Moorpark can hold them. Amaya gets the snap, looking to his left, throw it in the corner of an end zone, put it on the money. Does he have it? No, incomplete. What a great stop by Moorpark's defense. Jalen Lawrence, the intended receiver, had it in his hands for just a second before it was dropped. Colby Williams on the deflection.
I think between the wide receiver and the DB right there, there's a little bit of pride going between both of them. On the defensive end, you want to kind of get out of here with a shutout, hopefully. And on the offensive end, you're thinking the exact opposite. You don't want that shutout to happen to you.
And that was a great stand there by Moorpark's defense. They're continuing to show an aggressive nature, which is paramount in situations like this. When you're up 34-0, you do not want to relax, ever. That's when leads tend to shrink, and then you get stuck in a situation where your backs are against the wall.
And we're seeing a couple of new faces come in here. At quarterback, Trey Johnson, who actually had 3 touchdowns all in the fourth quarter last week against Cerritos, hitting 3 different receivers, all for long bombs, a couple of them 70-plus yards. We also have number 11 coming into the game for not the first time tonight, but hasn't been seen too much out there in the receiving core, that being Keonta Skinner. They are going to call a timeout, though. And with that, we are going to thank a few more of our sponsors. Simi Valley Auto Center, proud to sponsor Moorpark College Athletics. Shop Simi first. Home of your local dealers here to serve all of your automotive needs. DCH Lexus of Oxnard, proudly supporting education in Moorpark College football. Lexus of Experience Amazing. PennyMac, let us tackle all your mortgage needs. PennyMac, the lender you can call home. International Brotherhood of Electrical Workers. Southern California Life Powered for 125 years. IBEW Local Number 47 is a proud supporter of Moorpark College Raiders. DCH Auto Group, delivering customer happiness. And with that being said, there is 7 minutes and 16 seconds remaining here in the third quarter as Trey Johnson goes back onto the field. Ryan, let's shoot it to you. It's going to be a 1st down and 10 as he's going to hand the ball off to Skinner, who has a hole. He's going to cut down to his right side and pull, but still picks up the 1st down. Ryan, let's shoot it down to you.
Yeah, so one of the things that they just had, you saw that they had to call a timeout. There was actually miscommunication with the offensive lineman coming out on the field, and we actually had an offensive lineman from Moorpark College previously. It was actually number 68. He went out with an injury, Joe, and he is okay. His ankle is supposed to be okay. He was stretching it out a little bit. He should be back in the game pretty soon, but there was just a little bit of miscommunication. So Moorpark offense has to step down on the miscommunication. It has to make sure that they are ready to go for this offensive drive.
Miscommunication has been key as we see just another flag yet again. Jalil Lipkin, the motion receiver, number 3.
And to be honest, I think this was smart on Mike Stewart's part, mixing up his playmakers out there, especially getting Trey Johnson. You want to have that depth, and you want your quarterback to be experienced. So giving him this game-time experience while he can, this is a great opportunity to get a little bit more depth at the position.
It's going to be a 1st down and 15. So many pre-snap penalties against Moorpark College. And they really got to work on that going into next week. Well, they will play Saddleback on the road. Johnson's going to get the handoff and go ahead and hand it off to Skinner, who's going to cut it outside. He's got some wheels as he's able to pick up for a 1st down. When we had talked to Mike Stewart over the summer, we had asked him a couple guys, of course, to look out for who's someone that's new on the radar, and he had talked about Keonta Skinner, and he said how fast this guy was and how he, without a doubt, had 4.4 type speed. And that, for a coach to say that it's more than just a compliment. It's really saying something about how much he trusts this guy's speed. And he's shown in his last couple plays that he has that ability.
Yeah, speed kills. If you're able to get out onto that edge, you get a real big gain. As you see, move the chains right there.
Trey Johnson, once again, under his quarterback in the shotgun with Eddie Mbata to his left side. Motion Skinner over, fakes the handoff. Dropping back, looking deep as he's able to hit Cuevas on a route, who's breaking a tackle, spins, and isn't going down until the 37-yard line. And if it isn't Quillanta, it's Cuevas. So many options here for the receiving core.
And as you can see, even with the rotation at quarterback, the offense just keeps on humming, keeps on churning.
And the advantage is these guys get playing time and reps, which in football you can never replace.
First down and 10, ball at the 38-yard line. Trey Johnson fakes the hands off, throws it on the rollout to Skinnier, puts his hand down, and is able to pick up 3.
A missed block by Lipkin right there. Could have gotten a couple of more yards if he was able to get that block out on the edge.
Number 69 is going to come off the field for the Moore Park Raiders. Someone that we've seen a lot so far on the offensive line, that being Johan Rodriguez.
This might be a little bit of almost sweet revenge after getting blown out from last game. Moore Park might be looking to put the score, just the beatdown that they took, they might be willing to dish it out to someone else this week.
Yes, losing 62-30 last week on the road against Cerritos. Cuevas in the motion, going to hand it off to Batty, who immediately cuts back to the left side, sees a hole, spins off his own defender. He's down there at the 20 before he's tackled. And wow, a couple of guys here for this offense, gentlemen, really have those wheels being 6'2", 6'3", 6'4".
And that goes back to Stewart's mentality of getting guys who are physical at the line of scrimmage and are going to attack the ball.
And at this point in the game, the running back rotation as well, it's able to keep these guys fresh. This is the point in the game where you want to rely on that run game to get out of here with that W, and these legs are able to put it on their back and get it forward.
It's going to be a first down and 10 here, ball at the 23-yard line. Cuevas once again motioned across. Fakes the handoff to Meeks, throwing right over the middle to hit Fuller, who holds onto the ball. It comes up with a first down, now in the red zone.
One thing I will say for Trey, he's being very decisive. As a backup quarterback, he's not showing any indecision. He sees the play he wants to go to, and he is moving it forward.
And in terms of Trey, he's doing his job personally to make it harder for Coach Stewart to decide who he's going to use moving forward. In terms of the accuracy of both quarterbacks, this offense basically looks the same. And it also helps to have this lead as your cushion.
I think that's one thing to kind of highlight is from last year, we had injuries to the quarterback position. 2 people went down, and we were struggling to find a quarterback to put in. And so now they have that opportunity to use that depth.
Pitch to Archibald, who has the wheels to get to the end zone. Does he have it? No, pushed out at the 1-yard line.
Good job keeping contain of the edge by the Glendale defense right there, cutting off the angle for the running back.
Moore Park looking to score once again. Ball here on the 2-yard line.
Archibald in particular looking to get that second touchdown in front of this home crowd.
It looks to be a stop in that Glendale's come away with it, but they are going to blow the whistle dead. The ball did come out, and it is going to be a fumble as Glendale somehow comes away with it and makes it, the best case scenario goal line stand is they not only stop them, but get the ball back.
In terms of fumbling the ball, if you want to fumble it, you're going to want to do it with a 34-point lead. Obviously, the coaching staff will be unhappy with that, but they may be a little less angry given the cushion.
You heard a little bit of frustration down there on the sidelines with some of the coaches. Though they're up 34-0, I don't blame the coaches. These mistakes cannot happen. You can't be on the 3-yard line and give the ball back. That is unacceptable. And that's the mentality that you need to have as a coach that implements to your players that further on, you're not going to be able to get away with things like this when they play saddleback.
That's interesting. They were on the 1-yard line. For the ball to be placed where it is, that ball must have bounced very far with the recovery. I'm pretty shocked that it got placed there.
And we are looking to see some backups, which is always great, getting some other guys those reps there that are well-deserved. Looks to be a gain of 2 by Amaya just right up the middle. I don't know if that was a design QB sneak or a muff snap. 2 minutes and 6 seconds remain here in the third quarter. Moore Park still up 34-0.
Kind of been a stall from both sides, but not too bad for the second half. Coming into the fourth quarter here.
Well, when it comes to points per game, Moore Park's already outdone themselves by 10. They average 24.5 points per game. There's a whole quarter left to be played. And they usually give up 46 points per game. So phenomenal play on both ends, at least statistically. A lot of mental mistakes. Amaya's going to hand the ball off where Fugate is tackled by the back of his foot.
And that's terrifying for the running back there. He was wrapped up around the ankles, but still standing. You got to be careful on that one because other Moore Park Raiders are coming and they will tackle you as hard as they can. Kind of might be smart to go down on the play like that.
And Ryan, I know that last drive didn't go the way that Moore Park expected. What was some of the, animosity or, frustration right there on the coaching sideline? I mean, what really happened right there after that play?
So the coaches, obviously, it didn't go down how they wanted to, but one of the things that they did is they're just keeping high hopes right now, still having a 34-point lead, and they're not going down too much off of that, but right now you're going to be looking for a lot of backups coming in for Moore Park, and it seems like they're going to be just focused on securing this victory. One of the big goals has been putting up a goose egg for Glendale, so you're going to see a big defensive stand, and you're going to see the Moore Park Raiders just trying to stay focused in it coming in this final quarter.
Yeah, and as we see right down to your right side, Ryan, we see Troy Smith there getting warm, taking some snaps there from his center, number 73, Shane DeFari. So look to see, as you point out, look to see some other backups get some reps that are well-deserved. That these guys put a lot of work in during practice, but don't always see the field, so that's always a great sign.
And one of the defensive playmakers, Antoine Wynn, number 8, the one who had that fumble recovery and took it all the way back to the house, he was one of those players that tweeted out he wanted that goose egg. He was hungry for it today, and he just might get it here at this Moore Park home opener.
So 48 seconds remaining here in the third quarter. Fugate's in the backfield, along with Amaya. Ball on the 5-yard line as it's a 3rd and 11 from their own goal line. He's going to fake the handoff, roll out to his right. Amaya sees the receiver and is able to hit him and pick up the first down as he takes a lick but holds onto the ball somehow. Coming up with that reception for Glendale was number 4, Maurice Herrera.
That was a good play call by Glendale. That had me fooled. Play action is going to be a really good way to open up the pass a little bit here.
A couple other new faces we've seen coming in tonight that we usually don't see on the field. Number 96 for Moore Park, the DN, 6'3", 200-pound Jordan Hansen coming onto the field, along with number 49, Noah Dilly. We also see a couple of new defensive backs as well. Number 4 there for Moore Park, Damon Johnson on the field. Number 50 at the linebacker position for Moore Park, and Andre Wells. So a lot of new faces. In fact, an entire new defense for Moore Park. See if they can still hold the goose egg. Feeling pressure, Amaya's going to roll out, try and take it up the middle himself, but he's tackled for a short gain by number 96, Hansen, who had just stepped in to play before.
And that was a great job keeping contained. Number 8, and Amaya is down. He looks to be hurt. Not sure how severe the injury is. Of course, we can't speculate. We never want to see that. And it looks to be just maybe the wind knocked out of his sails. He's got to get himself up, and he seems to be fine.
That's going to bring us to the end of the third quarter here as Moore Park is still up 34-0, but a scoreless half for both sides. With that being said, we want to thank just a few more sponsors. Once again, you guys make this all possible for the broadcast to happen. We are more than grateful for everything that you guys do for us. We want to go ahead and start with Corner Bakery Cafe, located in the Simi Valley Town Center. Proud to support Moore Park College athletics, breakfast, lunch, dinner, and catering. Matera Design Consultant. For all of your design, layout, and production needs, contact Vince Matera at vmatera.earthlink.net. Matera Design Consultant. Los Robles Health System has been your source for your family's health care for more than 50 years. Award-winning care closer to home. Custom pie and bar next door. Wood-only oven pizzas, 17 craft beers on tap, wine by the glass, appetizers, pastas, salad, and more. Home of the Moore Park Raider Happy Hour after each home football game. Marketplace, official supplier of trophies, awards, gifts, and apparel for Moore Park College athletics since 2007. Coca-Cola celebrates helping athletes power through with Powerade. Corporate Graphic Communications, official signage company of Moore Park College athletics. Jan's Marketplace, cheers to a successful season, proudly supporting Moore Park College athletics. And with that being said, we're going to get right back into the action with just 15 minutes remaining in this ball game. Moore Park up 34-0. Though Amaya was hurt on that last play, he was able to get back to his own 2 feet, and he will continue to play for this game. Fakes the handoff to Fugate. Field's on his right side. He's going to go ahead and hit his receiver, who takes a lick and is swarmed by a multitude of Raiders.
And good for Moorpark in terms of keeping their intensity. This can carry over to next week as well when they play Saddleback.
And this is an opportunity for those second stringers, for the backups that normally don't get to play. Here at that home game, they get an opportunity to show up and shine for their families sitting here in the stand.
And sometimes, as we talk about, I mean, today Moorpark's done an exceptional job, but sometimes these backups really earn their spot. I know Trey Johnson has definitely made a case, though Isaiah Johnson's played even better. It's great to see that Trey Johnson is still playing phenomenal. Fugate breaks a tackle, runs out to his right side, breaks another tackle, and gets a gain of 5 yards on that carry. Trey Fugate on the carry.
Little chippiness at the end there. Good for the referees to once again step in and break it up.
So it's going to be a gain of 4 as it is a 2nd down and 6.
And in terms of like a season-long output, a win like this for the Moorpark Raiders, it goes a long way. I know the game isn't over yet, but you're looking at 1-2 instead of 0-3 as you're moving forward. That's a huge difference going forward as you keep playing these games.
So it's going to be a 2nd down and 6 here. Amaya rolling out to his right, looking to go deep. Somehow was able to hang on to it as he slips on his own 2 feet. They are going to rule it a completion. The crowd believes otherwise. But coming away with that reception is number 41 for Glendale, Bruce Gonzalez.
That's a good adjustment to the ball, and he did slip, but he was able to extend his body while on the floor. That is not easy to do.
13:09. This is the time for Glendale to really, we talked about the identity before. Maybe you can start searching for that in terms of your schemes and play calling here. And we have Laundry on the field. We'll see what the call is here.
Penalties. It's 12-minute formation. Basically the same thing as having 12 men on the field, except for they didn't realize that they had 12 men on the field. They were running a play with 12 men on the field. So that's a very rare call that you get.
That's at least the second time we've seen that today.
Yeah, well, 12 men on the field, but 12-minute formation. I guess that's the same thing. They just say it differently, I guess.
Got to get every advantage you can.
Yep. It's going to be a 1st down and 15. He's going to hand off to Fugate, who's gotten quite a few reps today as he's able to carry it for a gain of 7.
And he basically just ran and negated that penalty.
And we're going to go ahead and shoot it down to Ryan Ketchum here in a second as he's alongside Dupree Fuller here. Dupree Fuller's had quite a game tonight. And Ryan, you're down there with Dupree Fuller. How is he doing? How is he feeling? And what does he think of the team's success this far in the game? And I don't think Ryan's able to pick up the communication just yet as he's giving us just a minute, letting us know he'll be there in just a second. And we are ready for him. So we're going to go ahead and shoot it down to you, Ryan. Pass is intended on the left side. So
actually right now, Nick, we actually have Dupree Fuller, one of the players here at Moorpark College, usually lined up at the tight end position that is currently with us. Number 1, you have a pretty big impact in these games, and it seems like throughout the last game and then coming in this one, you had a bigger impact. So what has been your offensive mindset and trying to get basically more touches or trying to have a bigger impact on this team?
The biggest thing we've been working on is just working hard, and our coach always tells me just keep blocking, and the ball's gonna be coming. So that's all I was doing. I just be trying to do my dirt.
For sure. You put up 34 points in this game, just offensive dominance coming after. Last game where you put up 30 points, in the previous game as well that you put up 19, putting up more and more points throughout the season. What has been the key to that in this game?
Just working hard in practice, just hustling, just putting in 110% effort and just grinding. We all want to go D1. We all have our dream and aspirations. We're just trying to chase them right now.
Now with a game like this, what's the motivation like? How can you be able to carry this momentum into further games such as at Saddleback next week?
Well, it all starts with hard work and practice time and just getting your mind right. So we know they're the number 1 team in the country, but we up for the challenge and we're ready to take it on.
Definitely, that's the mindset you got to have. That's Dupree Fuller, everybody, tight end for Moore Park College. Number 1, back to you guys up in the booth.
And it's great to see them having fun down there. Dupree Fuller, a exceptional athlete and, component to this offense. And I loved his mindset right there as he talked about, it is all about hard work and work ethic. And that's why, as Robert talks about, he earns that number 1.
Yeah. Wearing that number 1, you've got to give 110% every chance you have an opportunity to.
Interesting, the choices of timing in terms of those timeouts that have just been taken. We saw one near the end of the third quarter and then one here midway in the fourth. Could just be a scheme thing that they're seeing in terms of Moore Park's defense as well.
Yeah, and as you said, they've taken their second timeout now, so there's only 1 remaining for them. One thing I do want to just point out, and I do want to just thank Michael Grimes for making this possible. I mean, this is the first game since I've been covering broadcasting that we've been lucky enough to have a sideline reporter. So thank you for everyone that's made that happen, from the Moore Park Film TV Media production, Michael Grimes, everyone that's been involved. I just want to personally thank you guys because I think it is such an amazing aspect that we're able to do sideline reporting and be broadcasters at the same time.
Can't be thanked enough.
So there's 10 minutes and 30 seconds remaining here in the fourth quarter. We are seeing, as we looked on the Moore Park sideline at least, or the Moore Park defense, a lot of fresh faces. Of course, we talked about the 2s and 3s getting reps. That can't be said enough of how important it is for them to make their mark right now while they're able to get some real playing time.
One thing for Glendale, they have an opportunity to practice a hurry-up offense. They need to put up as many points as they can as quickly as possible.
So first down and 10, ball at the 49-yard line. Motioning across is the wide receiver. He's going to hand it off, but he is going to take it himself as he fakes the handoff and options it out. Pickup of enough for a first down, number 4 on the carry, Herrera.
And at this point for Glendale, it's about getting on the board. Seeing points can give you that extra bit of confidence in terms of, at least getting a score and seeing that 0 taken off. So nice reverse there, a little bit of a different play call from this offense so far.
As a broadcaster, I got to say I was pretty happy to see a motion not get flagged on the play to actually move forward.
So another first down here for Glendale as they're starting to pick up momentum. As you had talked about earlier, both of you had alluded to, Moore Park really wants to keep this goose egg on the board. Let's see if they can do it. Amaya is able to hit his receiver through multitudes of traffic. Number 16 on the reception coming away for Glendale is Gutierrez.
That was a dangerous pass right there.
And good on Glendale, putting all the effort that they can at this final fourth quarter. It's easy to pack it in and kind of put your head down, but they're showing effort right here, and they're encroaching on this end zone.
Have not been able to score in the red zone yet. Saw an interception in this area earlier.
Second down and 1. Ball here on the 23-yard line. Amaya performing a lot better than Eldridge, as we'd pointed out. Fugate gets the handoff, tries to cut it outside. Takes a hit, somehow stays on his own feet. And it's a stalemate right there at the end zone as they're all falling down. Enough for a first down, it looks to be. Maybe just a yard or 2 short.
Once again, good effort on Fugate. He stayed up, he took the hit, he was able to move forward and fighting for his team.
Moore Park does need to be careful. They got to remain physical, but we've spoken about the penalties at length. There is, it appears,
someone down on the sideline.
Yeah, an injured player near the sideline. Can't quite see who, but
it's going to be a first down there. And we're going to throw it down to Ryan while we have him down there on the sideline.
Ryan, anything you can see down there for the injury update? Do you see who's down or how they're feeling? How serious is it down there?
So yeah, there was just an injury on the field. We'll have more updates in just a few moments, but there was a big injury down on the field after that big hit. So we'll be able to get to you in just a few moments with that. That was number 49 though, Noah Dilley. He's a 6'1", 220-pound linebacker that was down on the field, and hopefully he will be a-okay to go after this.
Yeah, you can see him walking a little grimace. Hopefully this is something he can shake off and he'll be ready for next game. You hate injuries at the end of a game, and it's always tough because it puts next week into question for you.
8:55 and counting. Look for Moore Park to maintain some pressure, but also be methodical about how they play over the next 9 minutes or so.
First down and 10 here. Ball on the 20-yard line as they were able to pick up enough for that first down on the Fugate run. Amaya gets the snap, looking to his left, feeling the pressure, has to roll up in the pocket, throws. His receiver had no idea as that's going to go incomplete, thrown in the middle of the field.
Amaya's pass is incomplete, brings it 2nd and 10.
One thing I have to say for the Moore Park Raiders, one thing I was happy to see for them is they kept the pressure on. They basically wrapped it up in the first half. There hasn't been any change in score since. 34-0. They made sure to put their foot on the gas and walk away with a win by the first half is what they were trying to do, and they did such a thing.
So this game has been all Moore Park as it is still 34-0, but both teams have been rather quiet. Now scoreless for the entire second half for both teams as it's still 34-0 as it was at the end of the first half. Amaya's going to get the snap. Feeling the pressure, he's going to have to throw it. He has a receiver open, but it's broken away. Great pass deflection by number 42 of the Moore Park Raiders. He saw that the entire way through as he watched the quarterback release the ball and was able to come away. Jean Mollet.
That was a great play right there. If you're Glendale, one thing you're going to have to sort out in terms of this identity is who is your quarterback going to be going forward. That's something that they've had trouble with. Not only during the course of this game, but over the course of this season. Robert, you alluded to that a little bit as well. Quarterback is the identity of the team, especially on offense, so that's something they're going to have to work on.
Without a solid leader, your team won't move forward.
Amaya feeling the pressure. Once again, there is a flag on the play. He's going to roll all the way out to his right, being chased down by a hungry Moore Park Raider. Throws it in the middle of the field, incomplete once again.
Looked like a something involving the offensive line, almost a throwdown of the defensive player down on the end. So we'll see what this flag is about here.
Tonight, I know that earlier we saw Mike Stewart and a couple of the other coaches get a little bit frustrated, but there is going to be a holding call against Glendale offensive player number 52 for their line. And that's going to bring them back, of course, 10 yards. That was on the hold, Mario Bateo. But as I was talking about, I know earlier on we saw and actually heard the frustration from some of the coaches, but Moore Park has really, really performed exceptional tonight. I mean, on all aspects besides the mental errors, offensively, we saw Isaiah Johnson perform well. Trey Johnson's done his job. We've seen a couple new receivers. You guys talked about Smith. You talked about Batarse, a lot of different options. Defensively, Henderson and Wynn coming up with that huge scoop and score. So I think there's a lot for Moore Park to take away positively from tonight. But Amaya is going to drop back in the pocket, feel the pressure, taking himself all the way. He has no one to beat, just daylight, as he's down all the way to the 7-yard line as he's trying to get shoved out and will go out at the 7-yard line.
And I think part of that, Nick, which is what you alluded to, is the fact that Moore Park does have some talent at the skill positions in what they were lacking in terms of last season. So it gives them more options to work with in terms of the skill players at the receiver core and the quarterback spot.
It's going to be funny to see the coach's mentality this week at practice. Although they did put up a 34-0 score, they also had 13 penalties for 122 yards. And something like that is just unacceptable. They're lucky to walk away with a win for this team, but going forward, that is not going to be something that will get you a W.
And coming in.
So the ball's going to be fumbled and snapped as he's just going to have to jump right on top of it.
And coming into the game, they had, like I said, 32. So that's going to put them up to 45 as the 13 penalties you mentioned from at least a half coming into the second stanza here.
And for anyone that wants to know the weather update here at Moore Park College, we have a nice 70 degrees. Weather conditions haven't been a factor at all in this game. There was a little bit of a wind chill early on. Not wind chill, but a little bit of wind prior to the game, but that calmed down and smoothed out by the time kickoff came around. And it's been a rather peaceful night here at Moore Park College with weather conditions. 7 minutes left to go in the end of the game here in the fourth quarter. Amaya's going to feel it, throw it out to his right side, but dropped by Fugate. Trey Fugates has really been one of the only players that Glendale can honestly say has made an impact in this game. We've seen him return, we've seen him in the receiver position, and lately we've seen him run the ball. But now there's an injured player on the field.
Looks to be one of the members of Glendale down there.
I think it is Amaya. I'm not seeing him up standing.
Well, when he went, near that scamper near the sideline, he tumbled onto the track. It appeared that he was fine at that point. I don't know if that has anything to do with it.
It looks like he took a shot to the ribs, to be honest. When he threw that ball, he was getting hit, pressured.
Clearly they are tending to him. Hopefully it was just something like the wind getting knocked out of his sails.
Of course. Now, Ryan, I see you down there talking to a couple of the players there. Did they have anything to say about the game thus far? I know that you're talking to a whole group of them right now, and maybe their take onto game, maybe their frustrations, or ultimately, their success thus far in the game. Anything they want to say?
Yeah, so we've been talking just a little bit, me and a couple players down here, and a 34-0 lead. I mean, it was pretty incredible, putting up a goose egg so far. How have you seen your guys just being able to perform out there, especially on the defensive side?
It just feels good to get a goose egg. We've been had a great week of practice, just been talking about it all week. Don't let them score, just got to dominate. That was the word of the week, dominate.
Yeah, that's Eric Mateo. He is number 2 defensive end out here for Moore Park College, and dominating on the defensive side. You've been able to do that, but also on the offensive side. How have you seen your offense just being able to get more confidence from last week into this one?
It just helps us feel better as a defense, just knowing that the offense can put up points and keep us off the field. And then we put up points today too, so I know that builds the offense confidence up too. So we just build off each other, pick each other up.
Sure, and that's all you can do. And one big thing has been penalties in this game and throughout the season. So how have you been focusing on that and kind of limiting it as a team?
As a team, I think we need to focus on that, fixing that during practice. We got to get better at it. We got to become more disciplined.
All right, and here we go.
And I think we had a shortage out in disconnection right there, but we're going to go ahead and continue to call the game. As we had, Ryan had been mentioning, he was talking to number 2 for the Moore Park Raiders, Eric Mateo, and also number 69, Johan Rodriguez. Now back in the game is Nathan Eldridge because Jorge Amaya was not able to return, so Nathan Eldridge, by default, will go ahead and get the start to finish this game.
4th and goal. Looks like they're going to go for it regardless here.
As they should.
The offense is not coming off the field.
Like I said, Glendale has been battling. They have been in this red zone for quite some time. If the goose egg is to come, this is where Moore Park is going to have to make their stand.
That's a good point. It comes down to this, though. Moore Park has the victory in the bag. Now you're playing for, the goose egg, as Eric Mateo had talked about. Nathan's going to take it himself, and no goose egg tonight is Nathan Eldridge. Took it right up the middle. 2 snaps back into the game since being benched from the first half, and that's what you want to do.
And that's the score we spoke about, at least getting points on the board, feeling a little bit better about where you stand as we end this game.
And as a sense of pride, it doesn't shock me, Glendale, eager to put that one in. Nathan Eldridge adding another touchdown to his list of accomplishments so far. This game hasn't been the greatest for him, but it's something moving forward. He does have 2 touchdowns on the year, and he will be someone that they hope to move forward in the running game.
Kick is up, and it is good. It is now 34-7 as the Vaqueros were able to at least put a touchdown on the board.
Eldridge was able to show his dual run and throwing abilities on that one, and he was able to get it done with his legs on this turn.
Look for Moore Park to run heavy over at least the next drive, maybe 2 if Glendale chooses to use their timeouts and has enough time on the clock to get the ball back for the rest of this game. But it will be run heavy, in my opinion, over the next drive or so.
And I think that's what you would expect in a situation like this, 34-7, just 6 minutes to go. But at the same time, I could also see how Moore Park maybe wanting to tack it on, try some different pass attempts, especially with Trey Johnson.
Yeah, we'll see, but I really don't see that from Moore Park. I think this is a game like we were talking about earlier. You want to get out, not too many injuries, not too many. We got the second round of people already in, so I don't think we're looking to do anything too tricky. I think this is a game that we want to get wrapped up safely.
Yeah, I believe Moore Park's trying to come away, in a victory, but in a respectful way. There's no need to throw around the ball more than you need to. Just run the ball out, keep your starters off the field, avoid injury at all costs. Out there to return is Brandon Archibald, as he's going to take it from the 1 yard line. See what he can do here, as he is lit up just 10 yards in the return. Coming away on that hit was number 32 for the Vaqueros, pardon me.
That is actually a brilliantly placed punt right near the sideline, able to angle it off, creating the indecision for the returner there.
And on the tackle there, number 32, Malik Whiteside.
Located at 6593 Collins Drive in Moore Park, there will be specials on all those items. Hope to see you there.
So Moore Park is going to take the ball here at the 12-yard line. Going to get the snap, hand it off, cut upfield, another cutback, and they're going to push for a gain of 9 yards on the play.
And that's what you hope to see. Even though they are trying to run this clock down, you want to keep moving the chains. That way you can hold on to possession, and you don't have to worry about their offense anymore as long as Moore Park keeps moving forward.
Into the game for the first time tonight, Noah Mason, a quarterback that we haven't seen thus far in the season. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, I could be mistaken here, but I have not seen number 9 for Moore Park take any snaps this year, so that's great to see that even he's getting reps. I know we've seen number 12, Vincent James, we've seen Troy Smith. Of course, we've seen both Johnsons and Isaiah and Trey, but I have not seen Noah Mason.
At the beginning of the year, Mike talked about it. He had 8 quarterbacks that he was looking to get going.
It's going to be a handoff and a nice read as he's able to pick up a gain of 8.
I think the biggest thing for Mike, like he said this year for Moore Park, he wanted to have depth at all positions. He saw what injury did to his team last season, and it was his goal to get extra players to make sure something like that won't ever happen again compared to last year.
And this has been the most impressive defensive showing that we've seen all year, able to only allow Glendale 7 points near the end of the game, playing basically flawless ball.
I would have to disagree with flawless, Justin. And as I say that, there is a fumble on the play. I
mean that in a defensive sense.
Defensively?
Not for the sake of the entire game.
Well, one thing I would say is, as we knew, both these offenses weren't really humming coming into this game. This was their opportunity to kind of get something going. So as good as the defense has done for Moore Park College, we can't forget that Glendale has struggled offensively. They don't put up many points most games. So this is something where the strength of Moore Park did show out to the weakness of Glendale.
And we also have to point out the penalties, which need to be cleaned up in the coming weeks.
Yes, way too many penalties for Moore Park and for Glendale. Once again, it's going to be a handoff to Archibald, who has such quick speed. He's able to take it for a gain of 5, but it's still going to be a third and very long.
3:48 and ticking. They are going to be able to sort of run out the clock if they pick up a couple of first downs here. I don't see Glendale using any of their timeouts at all. Again, down 34-7. There really isn't a point of doing that, so...
I mean, with a 3rd and 20, it's going to be really tough to pick up this first down. You might have to see Glendale's offense one more time. Let's see what they can put out there on the field.
And I'm not going to lie to you guys. I would be a little bit frustrated if I was Moore Park's coaching staff, just because they had the goose egg going for so long. To let it go this late in the game is a little bit frustrating. But nevertheless, the defense has ultimately played phenomenal. There's going to be a flag on the play.
If there's something to be frustrated about, it is these flags.
Delay a game, that's going to go on Noah Mason, just because, of course, in any delay of game situation, they blame the quarterback since he is the one in control of the snap count.
And that is he's the one who has an eye on the clock.
Of course,
as well.
And that's the thing you're going to see that makes a difference between a starter and a backup. I mean, Noah Mason, he's only got a couple reps thus far in the game, and it shows right there, a delay a game.
That's why you got to get that experience while you can. This is a good opportunity for them to make these mistakes right here.
You got to dominate, as Dupree Fuller said. Mason rolling out to his right, feels the pressure, is going to throw it, and it's nearly intercepted right off the hands of number 27 for Glendale, Jarva Brewer. And we're going to go ahead and throw it down to Ryan Ketchum down there on the sideline.
He got cut out a little bit, so now's our opportunity to give him another shot down there.
Yeah, so we did cut out previously, as you mentioned, but I'm down here, number 71, Telvin Townsend. He's offensive lineman, defensive lineman here from Moore Park College, coming out tonight, making a statement after having 2 straight losses. How does it feel to be able to make a statement like this and make it at home?
It feels good to be back in our home. This atmosphere out here is very electric, and we just had to make a statement because people see Moore Park as a run-over team, so we just know that this year is something special.
And one of the things that I've heard you guys talking about is just limiting penalties. Also, the energy that I see out here on the sideline, it's basically unmatched. So how are you able to get such a big group of guys together and just being energized for everybody, no matter if they're on the bench or not?
Well, before the game, Coach said, look to your brother and take him by the hand, and that's what I did. So he sees me as a captain, so I had to go in that role and make sure everybody energized for this game.
And it seems like you guys are energized. They put up 7 points in this game. Your original goal was putting up a goose egg. Obviously, putting up 0 on the other team, that is hard to do, but still only 7 points. That's great. How were you able to do that on the defensive end tonight?
We just made sure the run was good. I mean, they ain't getting no yards, as you can see. Look at the stats, you know. But they're an all right team, and we just had to hold it down up on D.
Now, to put up 34 points, that's the most points you've scored in this season. What has been that offensive strategy to be able to get you to that point? We kind of saw that at the end of the Cerritos game as you were able to score 23 points in the 4th quarter, but how were you able to carry that over, and what was the key in this one?
The key in this one was going to practice. We had too many offense almost every single practice. Coaches on our butt, so we know what we can accomplish. It's just we had to get that motor running in the beginning of the game.
All right, well, thank you very much. That's number 71, Captain Telvin Townsend of the Moore Park Raiders, offensive lineman, defensive lineman. We'll send it back to you guys up in the booth, Nick.
Thank you, Ryan. And that was, as we talked about, Tevin Townsend. We had actually talked to him prior to the season starting, and we had asked him a couple questions about what he thought about this year and whatnot. And he had specifically said it's all about giving love and, you know, focusing on the same goal. And that really, took me by surprise because a lot of these players are about getting out, getting what's theirs, which I totally understand. But he had a very positive attitude, and even talking to him right now, you can see how determined and focused he is. But as our viewers had seen right there was actually a fumbled punt by Glendale that was recovered by number 42 on Moore Park College, Azan Moletz. So Moore Park once again will have another opportunity to score with 2 minutes and 34 seconds left in the game.
I think the best part about that for Moore Park is that they have the opportunity to run out the clock. They don't have to face Glendale's offense one more time. The ball is in their possession.
In reality, they need 1 first down and really victory formation from there.
And they're going to hand it off to Skinnier, who has wheels, as we've seen, and he's able to cut across, break a tackle, push, and get a nice gain of 17.
And there's the first down we mentioned.
Glendale, I think, only has 1 timeout.
You spoke about Townsend, and I just want to piggyback. He has such a calm, warm demeanor about him, and it just makes for not only a great interview, as Ryan just alluded to, but, a wonderful guy, always has a smile on his face, something that's much needed in this game as well.
Just a big old teddy bear you want to hug.
Yes. Tevin Townsend, that's going to be a run up the middle as he's taken down after a gain of just 2. Tevin Townsend, 6'2", 290 teddy bear, so that's why he starts on the O-line. He's aggressive when he wants to be, right? With that being said, we want to thank just a couple more of our sponsors here, starting with The Hat in Simi Valley. Since 1951, 68 years of serving the world's famous pastrami, burgers, dogs, chili. Open 7 days from 10 a.m. to 11 p.m. Go to www.thehat.com. It's going to be a 2nd and 9. Mason still in the game.
Only a minute 30 left in this game.
Minute 30 left in the game. Moore Park will be coming away with their first victory of the year. He's going to hand it off, keeping himself on, Noah Mason is going to keep it himself on that, as there is going to be a flag on the penalty. Do want to thank a couple more of our sponsors, though, starting with Latin Auto Group, featuring Subaru, family owned and operated for over 45 years. Always close to home, located in Thousand Oaks Mall. Latin Subaru. Meathead Movers. Don't settle for anything less than the best. Meathead Movers. Proudly serving Ventura County since 2007. Stonefire Grill, where community is served. Dine-in, takeout, delivery, and catering. Proudly supporting Moore Park College athletics. College football is here. Celebrate with Chick-fil-A. Sycamore Square in Simi Valley is where it's located. Eat, drink, play at Dave & Buster's in Thousand Oaks. Once again, thank you for all of our sponsors that have made this possible. We could not do it without any of you.
One thing I could take away from this game for Moore Park, they had multiple playmakers that were able to step up at the positions. This was an all-around victory. We had defense chipping in as well as offense.
So there's a personal foul against Glendale, which sometimes happens when teams are getting blown out. It's going against, they said, number 15 for Glendale, and that would be Gutierrez, the D lineman, 6'3", 240 pounds, sophomore out at Garfield.
I don't believe Moore Park will do this, but they do have another opportunity to score if they choose with 1:10 to go. But I highly doubt that that's the route they will take.
I think they will if they get the opportunity. I don't think they're not going to not score, as Noah Mason looks to be driving down as he wants to score. And that's one of the things that happens. It's not so much a disrespectful factor. It's some of these guys like Noah Mason might never play for the rest of the season. So they really, if they can, they're trying to get an opportunity to get in the end zone and show the coaches that they have something.
I think the play call will be pretty simple, though. They're looking to run, chug it ahead, let this clock die out. And if they happen to step into the end zone, then they'll be very happy for that, too.
Exactly. They're not trying to purposely not score, but they're also not trying to just aim for the end zone. Number 40 on the carry takes a lick by Moore Park Colleges. That should be the final play of the game.
And that will basically do it. The clock is at 18 seconds. They will let it run out and end this game 34-7 victory for them.
And as we talked about, Tevin Townsend's out there on the field right now. He ran out to go tell everyone good job. Just alluding to, as we talked about before, being so full, of compassion for his teammates.
One thing I want to see out of this is Moore Park was able to get the victory today. I want to see what this confidence builds for them moving into next week. They're going to have a tougher opponent next week, and you want to see if they can carry that away more than just this one home opener.
Yeah, and so final thoughts on the game, Justin. What can Moore Park take away positively, and what can Moore Park take away negatively on the game?
Positively, the defense stepped up today, and both Johnson quarterbacks had great accuracy in terms of the passing game. When it comes to negativity, the penalties are what has killed them over the course of the last 2 years, and it showed up again very ugly today in terms of snap infractions and holding calls on the offensive line. Going to have to clean that up against a very competitive Saddleback team next week.
And final thoughts for you, Robert?
I think I would just harp again, like Justin was saying on the penalties. We have passed 3 weeks now, and penalties is something we always discuss for every game. So I really want to see what discipline these guys have for Moore Park. They got another week coming up. It's the 4th week. It shouldn't take a month to cut down on penalties. So hopefully that's something that the coaching staff can really drill into them this week.
And also for Glendale, they're going to have to figure out their identity on offense. I mean, it's that simple when it comes to the quarterback play and their offensive play calling, whether they want to be run or pass heavy. That has been their biggest struggle, at least from what I saw in this game.
Right, and there's a lot of good takeaways. There's a lot of bad takeaways. I think the most underlying, part of the game that was just kind of right there in our face was the fact that there are so many penalties. I mean, we can't reiterate it enough. So many mental mistakes. Because of that, though, we are going to shoot it down to Ryan, who is on the field with some of these players here. He's going to get an interview here. He's down there with Dylan Lee, it looks to be. And we're going to go ahead and shoot it to you, Ryan.
All right, thank you very much, Nick. I got Isaiah Johnson. We got Dylan Lee as well, star quarterback and wide receiver here for Moore Park College football, able to put up 34 points. How were you able to do it tonight and just kind of keep that momentum going in from the fourth quarter last week into this one?
We execute our plays. We had a good week of practice. We left a lot of points on the board, though. A lot of points on the board.
Once again, this is Isaiah Johnson, number 13, quarterback for Moore Park College. Putting up that many points, though, obviously you said you left a lot of points on the board. A big talk on the sideline was about penalties. How can you be able to adjust your game plan and be able to make sure that you cut down on penalties going into next week at Saddleback?
Next week we can't have as many penalties. I believe we have about 17 offensive penalties. So going into next week, we got to be more disciplined and we just got to focus up and practice. It starts in practice, so we focus up more in practice. We're going to focus in the game.
How does it feel to be able to have a wide receiver like this, being coming out first 2 games, had 3 touchdowns, number 1 go-to guy, 16 receptions so far with those first 2 games? How does it feel to have a guy like him on your team?
It's great. You know, sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not there. I mean, I don't always look for him, but when I do, he'll make a play. Besides today, he messed me up on a couple. But at the end of the day, it's game 3. We got a lot of games going on, so I'm looking forward to making more noise out there.
They definitely do, and let's talk to the star wide receiver out here, Dylan Lee, number 5. Going back off of the question that I just asked Isaiah Johnson over here, how does it feel to be out of a quarterback that can get you the ball?
Feels great to have a quarterback. You know, Isaiah, he won a state championship in high school. That's great to have a state champion quarterback as your quarterback. Right now, we're just trying to use this momentum off this game and just headed to Saddleback. Right now, we just worried about Saddleback.
Being that number 1 wide receiver, getting 16 receptions so far, being an end zone threat, having 3 touchdowns, what has kind of been your own personal mindset coming into this season, putting up big numbers like that?
My mindset for the season right now, if I want to be great, I just got to be great every game. If the quarterback look at me, I got to want to make the play for him.
Now, you guys had a huge offensive showing in this game. You had 23 points in the 4th quarter against Cerritos. How are you going to bring that momentum and that offensive prowess into that game at Saddleback?
Into Saddleback, we're going to need to bring everything to Saddleback. Right now, they looking good, so right now we focus on them. We're going to lock in, watch film, take everything. Saddleback, we're going to be ready.
You heard it here first. That's Dylan Lee, number 5. Also talked to number 13, Isaiah Johnson, quarterback and wide receiver duo here at Moore Park College. We're going to send it back up to the guys in the booth, but thank you very much for joining us here at Moore Park College, home of the Raiders as they took on the visiting Glendale Community College Vaqueros here on the Moore Park Raider live stream. Thank you.
Thank you, gentlemen, for that interview. I appreciate that, Ryan. We are going to go ahead and wrap up this show here. We're about to get right to the post-game show, so don't go anywhere. Justin Borges and I will wrap up this game with the post-game show. We will be right back, so stay tuned. We're not going anywhere.
I'm going to be going up the hill. Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mike Stewart postgame show,
presented by UCLA Health. It begins with you. Alongside me, Justin Boris, your color commentator for tonight's game. Justin, Moore Park coming away with a phenomenal victory, 34-7. What were some highlights that really stood out to you in tonight's game for Moore Park?
So the passing attack for the Raiders has been their focal point on offense this season. They really executed well with both Johnson quarterbacks today. The accuracy was very on point. They were able to get it to a variety of different receivers, and they have some threats in that department as well.
Right, and as you talked about a variety of different receivers who we had just heard from right before we came to this post-game show, Dylan Lee actually, phenomenal game. He actually scored the first touchdown of the game from a touchdown pass from Blake Batarse. What can you tell us about Blake Batarse and Dylan Lee?
So Dylan is one of the most skilled players. He's the #1 threat at wide receiver at the moment. But Batarse was a name that was not really mentioned within the first couple games of the year, and he kind of had a coming out party in terms of his skill set and abilities. I loved the play call early in the game with his touchdown pass that he threw downfield. I thought it was a nice setup in terms of giving Glendale something totally different to think about. And I thought it was a nice choice right there to get other guys involved. So those two weapons will be featured heavily in the coming weeks.
Right, and not only just those two, but a multitude of guys had really stood out tonight. Eddie and Bada had some great runs. We saw Reese Smith, have a couple spectacular catches. Trey Johnson, he's a great #2 for Moore Park to have. But with that being said, I want to transition a little bit more to defense. The defense only allowed 7 points, and really, basically a goose egg. I mean, they gave up a touchdown right there in the end zone with just 7 minutes left to go in the game. But other than that, how was Moore Park's defense different than it's been the last couple weeks?
I think in terms of Glendale did help them in terms of the interception department. That's something that they didn't have.
Right.
Within the first couple weeks, they didn't have a lot of opportunities for that. They are always physical. That's something that Moore Park defensively hangs their hat on, as well as Coach Stewart. That's what he likes to preach. And I think within the running attack, they were able to really stack that box today and make it difficult for Glendale to find any identity on offense in terms of what they wanted to accomplish today. I think that's part of the reason they were only able to put up 7 points today. They just didn't have a rhythm, didn't have an identity, something that we talked about with the coaching staff as well.
Right, and as you had mentioned, stacking that box is one reason that led to success with that scoop and score. Daniel Henderson causing that fumble and Antoine Wynn scooping and scoring for a touchdown. Now, as you talked about, they have been very dominant. In fact, 27 points in the second quarter alone. But the scoring stopped there in the first half. They didn't score a single point the second half. So what does Moore Park really have to adjust going into Saddleback, who just defeated Ventura last week, and Ventura was ranked #1 in California, lost to Saddleback. Moore Park now has to go on the road against Saddleback. How are they going to be able to come away with a victory there?
Well, what I really liked in terms of the improvisation of Johnson was his ability to get out of the pocket and run. And he was able to make a lot of reads today that suggested that without the passing game. And that's going to need to be a focal point moving forward, especially against Saddleback, who could put up a lot of points. For Johnson to be able to have those reads is going to be incredibly important for this offense to move forward and open up the running attack as well.
Yes, and Johnson is someone that Moore Park really admires and appreciates. This last year, they didn't know who the #1 quarterback was. We saw Troy Smith, we saw Ethan Postler, we saw Bryce Faole. This year, we know the guy is Isaiah Johnson, and if something happens to him, they know they can trust Trey Johnson, who threw for 3 touchdowns last week to 3 different receivers. So Moore Park finally seems to have a legitimate quarterback situation going on. Final thoughts on the game, Justin, going into next week.
So Saddleback is a very difficult opponent. They're going to need to step up on defense even more than they already have this week. In terms of offense, they need to continue what they're doing. I like the deep threats downfield, the speed at the receiver position. They have depth at quarterback. They're going to need to use it. And their secondary, and I want this to happen for Moore Park in terms of their linebacking core. They're going to need to pressure the quarterback because their secondary continues to be quite thin. So that's going to need to be something to put pressure on whoever Saddleback's quarterback is going to be next week.
So basically picking up in areas where they're lacking, picking up and helping out their teammates.
And cutting down on the penalties.
And cutting down on the penalties, that is a great thing. We saw too many this week. We saw too many last week. You're right.
At the end of this game, we are now over 40 penalties within 3 games this season for well over 1,200 yards. So that's something they're going to need to look to change
Yes,
moving
and
forward.
that is horrific. But with that being said, that's going to wrap up our Mike Stewart post-game show presented by UCLA Health. It begins with you. I want to thank everyone for tuning in tonight. I want to thank our production crew. I want to thank Michael Grimes. We would like to thank, I should say, Michael Grimes, our production crew, Vance Manicus, Vern Veg. So none of this could be made possible without any of our sponsors. Thank you, everyone that tuned in tonight, everyone that made this possible for us for the broadcast. Now, we will not be here next week as we are not going on the road to travel against Saddleback, but we will be back the week after for October 5th as kickoff is going to be at 6 o'clock. Thank you, everyone, and have a great night.